Chapter 569. Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback. Why did this voice sound so familiar? The others were also surprised. Everyone turned around and saw two blurry white figures galloping over from afar. Why do they look like senior brother Wuhan and senior brother Morongxiong? Someone asked suspiciously. Aren't they dead? Another person raised his doubts. As the distance kept getting closer and closer, everyone finally saw the true faces of the two people clearly. It was really Dongfang Wuhan and Morongxiong. Qin Feiyang and Dong Junyang looked at each other, and a glimmer of light flashed in the depths of their eyes. Soon, Dongfang Wuhan and Morongxiong arrived in front of everyone panting. Both of them had disheveled hair and dirty faces, and their tattered clothes were full of bloodstains. They looked extremely miserable. Senior brother Wuhan, senior brother Morong, what happened to you? Where did you go last night? We all thought you were dead. Wu Yan and Su Yang hurriedly ran up and asked with concern. Dongfang Wuhan took a few deep breaths, shook his head and sighed. It's a long story. Last night, Morongxiong and I went to kill that skeleton, but we didn't expect that the two of us together were still no match for it. And then, Su Yang asked. We could only choose to escape. We wanted to find you, but we didn't know where you were hiding, so we hid first. Later, we faintly heard the sound of battle. We thought it must be you, so we immediately rushed over. But there were too many white skeletons on the way, and we were all seriously injured. By the time we arrived, you had already left. Then we tracked you all the way until now. Dongfang Wuhan sighed. Wu Yan said, Thank you for your hard work. If we had known that you were not dead, we would definitely have waited for you. It's okay. It's just that not only did we not help, but we also put you in danger. I'm really sorry. Dongfang Wuhan blamed himself. At this time, Dong Junyang said, That black skeleton was killed by Qin Feiyang and me. Its strength is not very good. With the two of you, you shouldn't have escaped, right? When Dongfang Wuhan heard this, his face was full of helplessness. It's my fault, Morongxiong said expressionlessly. Dongfang Wuhan nodded and said, It was indeed because he was too arrogant that we suffered a crushing defeat. But now he already knows his mistake, so I ask everyone to forgive him. Su Yang chuckled and said, It's great that you can learn from your mistakes. Who gives you the right to speak? Morongxiong raised his eyebrows, his gaze extremely unfriendly. Su Yang immediately shrunk his neck, his face full of fear. All right. Dong Junyang gestured with his hands, and the crowd quieted down. Dong Junyang looked at Dongfang Wuhan and said, Since you have already returned, you can make the arrangements. Dongfang Wuhan said, There's nothing much to arrange. Take advantage of the fact that there are no skeletons during the day. Let's move forward at full speed. Wu Yan frowned and said, Senior brother Wuhan, don't you want to rest first? I can't drag everyone down because of me. I can recuperate while traveling. Let's go. Dongfang Wuhan waved his hand, and everyone immediately used their fastest speed to rush towards the end of the plane. Dong Junyang was walking in the front row, and his eyes would occasionally glance at Dongfang Wuhan and Dong Junyang. After a moment, a light flashed in the depths of his eyes, and he sent a sound transmission to Qin Feiyang behind him. Did you find anything wrong? Qin Feiyang shook his head without leaving a trace. At first, he also suspected that the two might have deliberately escaped, wanting to use the black skeleton to get rid of them. He even suspected that the battle sword in the valley might have been pulled out by the two of them, when no one was paying attention. But the words of the two before were flawless, because with Morongxiong's character, when fighting with the black skeleton, it was indeed possible that he would act arrogantly. Therefore he couldn't be sure. Of course, these suspicions definitely couldn't be spoken out. Otherwise it would inevitably cause even greater disagreement. Take Wu Yan and Su Yang for example. During the period when Dongfang Wuhan and Dong Junyang were not here, they were particularly well behaved. But as soon as the two of them came back, their demeanor and behavior immediately changed. It could be seen that many people here were on their side. Time flew by. Night soon fell. Everyone was ready for battle in advance. Moreover, with the healing pills with 4 patterns, even though they had been on the road for an entire day, everyone was in high spirits. So when the white skeleton crawled out of the ground, they weren't as flustered as they were the previous 2 nights. But casualties were inevitable. Look, there's another battle sword over there. In the middle of the night, Fatso's exclamation suddenly sounded. Everyone was immediately shocked. They looked in the direction Fatso was pointing, and saw a small mound 20 meters away on the right. In the blink of an eye, it looked like a tomb. In the center of the mound, there was a rusty battle sword. Dongfang Wuhan said anxiously, "Don't touch it, let's go." Wait. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang suddenly spoke as he looked at the battle sword. His eyes were sparkling. Everyone looked at him in confusion. Qin Feiyang said, "I want to know, will the black skeleton wake up on its own?" Hearing this, a few people present immediately understood Qin Feiyang's intention. These people were Dong Xingyang, Lu Xingqian and Fatso. Dongfang Wuhan said, "Junior brother Qin, I know you have the ability to kill the black skeleton, but it's best not to take this risk. After all, you're not the only one here. There's still everyone here." "That's right. You can't let everyone take the risk with you just because of your momentary curiosity." Su Yang and Wu Yan followed. Qin Feiyang said, "You guys can leave first. I alone am enough." Dongfang Wuhan said flatly, "That's even more impossible. We've already suffered heavy casualties. What if something happens to you again?" "Qin Feiyang, although you refined top-grade pills for us, I still have to say something fair. Senior brother Wuhan is doing this for your own good. Don't be so tactless." Su Yang said solemnly. Dong Xingyang glanced at Su Yang and said indifferently, "Don't worry. I will stay and accompany Qin Feiyang, because I also want to know." "You." Su Yang was furious. But at this moment, Dongfang Wuhan said helplessly, "Well, since you insist on staying, then I can't say anything more. But remember, after you figure it out, you must immediately come and join us, because our team can't do without you." Qin Feiyang and Wu Yan nodded. "Boss, I want to stay too." Fatso said in a low voice. "No. Follow them. First, protect Ren Wushuang. Second, monitor Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong." Qin Feiyang said in a voice that only the 2 of them could hear. "Okay." Fatso nodded reluctantly. Immediately, Qin Feiyang and Dong Xingyang left the team. While fighting with the white skeleton, they approached the small mound. Dongfang Wuhan continued to lead the team forward. After the team disappeared into the night sky, Dong Xingyang said solemnly, "As long as we can confirm that this skeleton won't wake up on its own, then we can be sure that the battle sword in the valley was pulled out by Dongfang Wuhan and the others." Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "We can't be so sure." "How can you not be sure? Other than us, there are only people from the other 8 provinces in the 9 Nether Yellow Springs. But they are not in the same direction as us, so it naturally can't be them. At that time, we were fighting with Black Skeleton, and Fatso and the others were also at the entrance. Only Dongfang Wuhan and Wu Yan disappeared. If it wasn't them, who else could it be?" Dong Xingyang sneered. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "Let's wait until we figure it out before coming to a conclusion." During the conversation, the 2 of them arrived at the small mound like a hot knife through butter. The white skeletons around them didn't dare to approach. They surrounded them 5 meters away. The flames in their eye sockets jumped rapidly, as if they were threatening Qin Feiyang and Wu Yan. Time passed breath by breath. The 2 of them stood in front of the small mound, but after hundreds of breaths, the skeleton inside the small mound didn't move at all. Dong Xingyang raised his eyebrows and shouted, "Hey, hey! If you don't come out, we will dig your grave and destroy your bones." But after a long while there was still no movement. Dong Xingyang tried to step on the small mound a few more times, but the skeleton still showed no signs of waking up. Could it be that there were no skeletons inside? The 2 of them looked at each other, their eyes filled with doubt. Dong Xingyang said via voice transmission, "Why don't you pull out your battle sword and give it a try?" "Sure. But we have to be prepared in advance. We must kill it quickly when it comes out." Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. "Okay. Same as always. I'll activate my battle soul, and you use that dagger to kill it." Dong Xingyang thought to himself. Qin Feiyang nodded and took out the Chang Shui. At the same time, Dong Xingyang also activated his battle soul, then walked up and pulled out his battle sword. TSK, human. Fresh blood, immediately. A sinister laugh came from within the mound of dirt. The two of them felt a chill in their hearts. Boom! Following closely, the small mound exploded with a loud bang, causing mud to splatter everywhere as a black shadow rushed out. But at the same time, the iron chains behind Dong Jungyang, with a loud crashing sound, pierced through the air like lightning and wrapped around the black shadow's body. Freeze! Following Dong Jungyang's low shout, the black shadow immediately revealed its true form. It was indeed a black skeleton. Just as Dong Jungyang froze the black skeleton, Qin Feiyang also pounced forward. Crack! Chang Shui was like a graceful swan, instantly cutting through the black skeleton's skull and shattering the flames in its eye sockets. Before it could even see the appearance of Qin Feiyang and Dong Jungyang, the black skeleton was completely dead. As soon as the black skeleton died, the battle sword in Dong Jungyang's hand also split into 4 or 5 pieces with a clang. The two of them were shocked. Human. Blood, at the same time. The white skeletons around him uttered hoarse words intermittently, as if ghosts were roaring. It was incomparably terrifying. Then they swarmed forward. Humph! Dong Jungyang snorted coldly, turned around and struck out with both hands. His battle chi was like a rainbow, turning into a dark arrow, carrying an astonishing destructive power, shooting towards the eyes of the skeletons. In an instant, a large number of them fell. Qin Feiyang's methods were not inferior to Dong Jungyang's. What should we do next? Dong Jungyang asked while killing the skeletons. It turned out that the battle sword was like a seal. Only when the battle sword was pulled out would the black skeleton wake up. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, "Don't be in a hurry to turn hostile. Let's wait until we find evidence. Otherwise, the two of us will be ostracized by everyone. These two bastards have sinister intentions. They should be killed." Dong Jungyang's eyes surged with a cold light. At first, when I heard Lu Xingchen say that Dongfang Wuhan was not a good person, I didn't believe it. But I didn't expect that he was really a hypocritical villain. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Chapter 570. Half an hour later, Qin Feiyang and Su Wuhan caught up with the rest of the team. Fatso immediately asked, "Boss, how is it?" Qin Feiyang said, "You need to pull out the sword before the black skeleton wakes up." There was no need to hide this kind of thing. Of course, he wouldn't directly point the finger at Dongfang Wuhan and Su Wuhan. Fatso said in surprise, "So the person who pulled out the sword in the valley was indeed..." Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed and interrupted Fatso. Fatso was stunned, but then he understood. He glanced at the crowd and shouted, "Who is it? Come out." "It's not me. It's not me either." Everyone spoke one after another. Fatso looked at everyone and suddenly turned his eyes to Wu Yan and Su Yang, saying, "Fat Lord now seriously suspects that you two are behind this. Fatso, don't talk nonsense and slander good people. What evidence do you have that it's us?" The two of them were furious. "You're good people. Everyone has seen what you've done along the way. You're just selfish villains. Fat Lord firmly believes that except for the two of you, no one else would do such a thing to harm everyone." Fatso sneered. Su Yang roared, "Bastard, I want to duel with you. Do you think Fat Lord is really afraid of you? Okay, Fat Lord will accompany you." Fatso rolled up his sleeves and looked fierce, as if he was ready to go all out. "Enough. Junior brother Fatty. It's useless if you don't have evidence. Su Yang, Wu Yan, you two should also stop talking," Dongfang Wuhan said at this time. Qin Feiyang glanced at Dongfang Wuhan, and his eyes flashed slightly. He patted Fatso on the shoulder and said, "Don't make wild guesses without real evidence." "I didn't say anything." Fatso shrugged. Everyone continued forward. As for this farce, it was deliberately created by Fatso. Because of this, it meant that their suspects were Su Yang and Morong Xiong. The real culprits, Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong, would inevitably relax their vigilance. Once they let down their guard, the two of them would give themselves away sooner or later. Unknowingly, dawn was approaching. Even though there were healing pills with 4 pill veins, after a night of hard fighting, everyone was exhausted. Dongfang Wuhan looked towards the horizon. The blood moon was descending, and the blood sun was about to rise. Immediately after, he shouted, "The sky is about to brighten. Everyone, hold on for a little longer." Everyone nodded. As long as they persevered until dawn, they could have a good rest. Is Fat Lord seeing things? At this moment, Fatso suddenly exclaimed. What? Everyone looked at him in surprise. Fatso pointed ahead and said, "Don't look at Fat Lord. Look ahead. Doesn't that look like a forest? Jungle?" Everyone was stunned for a moment before they became excited. If there was a forest in front of them, it meant that they had probably reached the death swamp. Everyone looked ahead one after another. But the sky was still dark. Coupled with the blood mist blocking their line of sight, they couldn't see clearly. They could only see a hazy shadow. "It looks like a forest," someone said. Dongfang Wuhan shouted, "Let's go and take a look." The group of people moved forward quickly with anxiety and anticipation. After a dozen breaths, the scenery in front of them finally entered everyone's line of sight. It was indeed a dense, desolate forest. Ancient trees towered into the sky, like large emerald umbrellas. Thick vines like pythons wrapped around the ancient trees, looking incomparably strong. And on the ground, there were also weeds and bushes. The overall feeling it gave people was very desolate, very mysterious, and very gloomy. Before they even got close, they already felt afraid. Someone shouted, "Look, there's a stone tablet over there." Everyone looked in the direction that the person was pointing. At the edge of the forest, there was indeed a stone tablet erected. It was about 5 or 6 meters tall, and engraved with 4 bold and powerful words. "Death Swamp. We've finally arrived at the Death Swamp. I don't see any skeletons in the swamp. Let's hide in there." Everyone was very excited. Some people even suggested, "Don't go. We don't know what's in the Death Swamp. It's almost dawn, there's no need to take the risk." Lu Xingchen said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyang also agreed with Lu Xingchen's words. Even Wang Hong was afraid of the Death Swamp. How could it be safe? It was best to wait until dawn, when everyone had recovered to their peak state before going in. No matter how dangerous the Death Swamp is, it's not as dangerous as these skeletons, right? There's still some time before dawn. If we continue to waste time like this, there will definitely be more casualties. Senior brother Wuhan, we all agreed to enter the Death Swamp. But everyone didn't listen at all, and pleaded with Dongfang Wuhan. Dongfang Wuhan struggled for a moment and nodded. "Okay, let's go in. But remember, we must not lower our guard." Immediately, the group of people entered the Death Swamp in a grandiose manner. But Lu Xingchen didn't enter the Death Swamp. Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at each other and didn't go in. Ren Wushuang, Shen Mei and Dong Jingyang, seeing that Qin Feiyang and the other 2 didn't go in, they also didn't go in. In the end, only the 6 of them were left outside to fight with the skeletons. As for those skeletons, the Death Swamp seemed to be their forbidden zone, so they didn't chase after them. All of them surrounded Qin Feiyang and the others. "The ground is very solid, it's not a swamp. Haha, there's always a way out." The people who entered the swamp couldn't help but laugh out loud after surveying their surroundings. At the same time, Dongfang Wuhan turned to look at Qin Feiyang and the others and advised, "There's no danger here for the time being. You guys should also come in and rest." "Senior brother Wuhan, why are you persuading them? They like to fight with skeletons, so let them kill. Don't say as an outsider, I suddenly find these skeletons quite cute. Senior brother Qin, senior brother Dong, you guys can do it. We will definitely support you in spirit to kill them all." Looking at Qin Feiyang and the others who were surrounded by skeletons, everyone crossed their arms in front of their chests and didn't hide their sarcasm. Shen Mei looked at Dongfang Wuhan and the others. Indeed, nothing had happened. She couldn't help but be tempted and whispered, "Why don't we go in? Caution is the parent of safety. I won't take the risk." Lu Xingchen shook his head. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and looked at Shen Mei. "What brother Lu said is not without reason. Hold on a little longer." "Okay." Shen Mei nodded. "Alas, why don't you listen to my advice? Fine, do as you wish." Hearing Qin Feiyang and Lu Xingchen's words, Dongfang Wuhan couldn't help but sigh. He turned to Wu Yan and the others and said, "Don't waste time, quickly rest." "Okay." Wu Yan shouted. Su Yang jokingly said, While resting, you can also watch the show. This treatment is not bad. Fatso's eyes darkened as he sneered. Let's see how proud you can be. Haha. Although I don't know what will happen in the future, at least for now, we have the capital to be proud. You guys continue, we're waiting to see. The two of them laughed wildly. Fatso clenched his fists tightly, making cracking sounds. Qin Feiyong glanced at the two of them, turned to Fatso and said, "Ignore them." "That's right." Lu Xingchen nodded and said, "For these ignorant idiots, only death can make them realize. Die. It's hard to say who will die. But before you die, you'd better return the medicinal herbs to us." Wu Yan and Su Yang sneered. Haha. But suddenly, a loud laughter rang out in this place, echoing between heaven and earth for a long time. Who is it? Dongfang Wuhan. And the others were shocked. They all turned around and looked at the forest behind them, because the laughter came from there. There's someone. At the same time, Qin Feiyong and the other 5 outside were also very surprised. Could it be another skeleton? No, boss, this voice is a bit familiar. Fatso suddenly said. Familiar? Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned and listened carefully to the echo. Seeing Qin Feiyong and Su Yang, Dong Jungyang, and the other 3 looked at each other. Those 2 simple words sounded familiar, but at this moment, they contained an extremely important message. That was the owner of this laughter was not a skeleton, but a person. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled, and he said in a deep voice, "It's him." Fatso nodded and said, "Yes, it's him." Who? Dong Jungyang and the other 3 looked at the 2 of them in surprise. I didn't expect there to be so many idiots in the spiritual state. Qin Feiyong was about to speak, but the loud laughter rang out again. That's right. I was quite worried at first. But now, it seems that I was worrying for nothing. Another voice sounded. This was a woman's voice, with a strong sense of sarcasm. It's really them. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Fatso whispered. Morongxiong shouted. Who the hell is it? Don't pretend to be mysterious, come out and die. Die. Who gave you the guts to say such arrogant words? Ice Elephant's fury. The woman's stern voice rang out in the forest, followed by a monstrous aura. Boom. Crack. The next moment, in the forest on the left, a series of loud noises came out. The ancient tree was shattered, the earth cracked, and a huge ice elephant was as fast as lightning, crushing everything. Battle Master. Dong Jungyang's face changed, although he hadn't seen the real person yet. From the aura emitted by the ice elephant, he could tell that the person who used this battle technique was a battle master powerhouse, who was not inferior to him in the slightest. Morongxiong and Dongfang Wuhan's faces also changed, and they shouted in unison. Be alert! Barbarian Bull Strike. At the same time, Morongxiong took a step forward and waved his hands. A yellow barbarian bull instantly appeared out of thin air. Its body was more than 100 feet long, like a small mountain, emitting an astonishing ferocious aura. Moo! Then, the barbarian bull raised its head and roared, then swooped down towards the ice elephant. It also crushed the ancient tree, tore the earth, and was unstoppable. Boom! The 2 giant beasts crashed into each other, and the land within a radius of a few thousand meters was instantly turned into ashes. So you have some strength. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. But will you be able to withstand their next attack? Chapter 571. Could it be that there are more than 2 people? Dongfang Wuhan and the others turned pale with fright. Boom! Sure enough, a terrifying aura erupted from the forest on the right and in front at the same time. And they were all war masters. Counting the mysterious woman on the left, that was the 3 war masters. Clang! In the next moment, on the right, a huge yellow sword flew over, emitting an unparalleled sharpness. In front, a blood-red blade flew over, overflowing with blood light, drowning the sky. At the same time, on the left, another ice elephant appeared. It was ferocious and powerful, shocking everyone. Not good. These are 3 superior battle arts. Dong Jungyang, Qin Feiyong, quickly come and help. Dongfang Wuhan shouted without turning his head, as he evolved the battle arts. What should we do? Dong Jungyang looked at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong said indifferently. Do you think that there is still a need to pay attention to them? What Lu Xingchen said was right. Only death could make these fools realize their mistakes. Dong Jingyang was stunned, shook his head and smiled. Indeed, there is no need. Then, he looked at Dongfang Wuhan and sighed. I'm sorry, we can't even protect ourselves right now. We really have no time to help you. Damn it! Dongfang Wuhan cursed and shouted to Wu Yan and the others behind him. Leave the swamp immediately. The group of people did not dare to hesitate, and immediately turned to flee. However, the few people who ran to the front suddenly cried out in alarm, and were bounced back, falling to the ground in a sorry state. There was a trace of blood at the corner of their mouths. What's going on? Everyone was shocked and stopped in unison, looking at the junction of the plains and the swamp. Their faces were full of bewilderment. Not good. Between the plains and the swamp, there is an invisible force preventing us from leaving the swamp. Senior Brother Wuhan, Senior Brother Morong, what should we do? The people who had been sent flying were at first confused, but then they quickly got up and roared at Dongfang Wuhan and Dongfang Wuhan. What? Invisible force? Everyone's face suddenly turned pale. In other words, as long as one entered the death swamp, there was no turning back. Dongfang Wuhan and Dongfang Wuhan were also burning with anxiety. They never thought that such a situation would happen. If he had listened to Lu Xingchen's advice, he wouldn't have been so passive now. But it was too late for regrets. I'll block the giant sword. Morong Xiong, you block the ice elephant. Everyone else, join hands and block that bloody blade. Remember to block it, Dongfang Wuhan roared. In front of him was a golden arrow that was several zhang long, and as thick as an arm. It emitted a resplendent golden light. Sun-breaking arrow kill. Following his roar, the golden arrow pierced through the sky, carrying with it a world-destroying sharpness as it slammed into the earthen yellow sword. In the meantime, Morong Xiong once again transformed into a raging bull, and crashed into the ice elephant. Wu Yan, Shen Long, and the other 200 people also executed their battle arts, and attacked the bloody blades. For a moment, in this forest, battle chi was dazzling. All kinds of battle arts were like shooting stars, and their momentum was vast and mighty. Even from tens of miles away, they could sense the commotion here. Rumble. After a few breaths, the two sides' battle arts collided with a loud bang. Unsurprisingly, Dongfang Wuhan's battle arts shattered at the same time as the earthen yellow sword and ice elephant. They were evenly matched. But Wu Yan and the others' battle arts were no match for the bloody blades. Although in terms of numbers, Wu Yan and the others had the absolute advantage, but compared to the bloody blades, the difference in power could be said to be like heaven and earth. The bloody blades were like a hot knife through butter, crazily crushing wave after wave of battle arts, heading straight for Dongfang Wuhan and the others. Not good. Dongfang Wuhan's expression changed as he hurriedly executed his battle art again, sun-breaking arrow. Because if he didn't stop the bloody blades, then the final outcome would definitely be heavy casualties. However, just as the sun-breaking arrow was formed, the bloody blades came slashing down. The situation was extremely dangerous. Dongfang Wuhan gritted his teeth and waved his big hand. The sun-breaking arrow blasted towards the bloody blades. The two battle arts met above their heads. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening loud noise, a destructive wave of air rushed out in all directions. Wu Yan and the others bore the brunt of it, and were directly submerged by the air waves. Suddenly, miserable screams rang out incessantly, resounding through the sky. Although they all had good cultivation, one must know that this was a confrontation between battle masters. How could they withstand it? Dongfang Wuhan shouted. Morong Xiong, quickly protect everyone. Just a group of cannon fodder. Is it worth me risking my life to protect them? However, Morong Xiong smiled mercilessly, and left without even looking back. Bastard! Dongfang Wuhan cursed again and again, his eyes filled with struggle. But in the end, he also turned around and fled. The escape of the two could be said to be a disaster for the others. That wave of air was earth-shattering like a giant storm. People were constantly being strangled, and broken corpses and broken limbs flew all over the sky. Blood dyed the void red, dyeing the earth red. Before they died, they were filled with regret. Why didn't they listen to Lu Xingchen's advice? And why did they have to mess around with Dongfang Wuhan, this unreliable person with no leadership ability? Hate. Regret. This was the realization that they had exchanged their lives for. But now that they had realized it, it was useless. Ren Wuxuang said anxiously, Fei Yong, we can no longer sit back and watch. If this continued, they would definitely be wiped out, and not a single one would be left. I'll go. Dong Jungyang gritted his teeth, slapped away the skeleton in front of him, and entered the swamp of death without hesitation. As soon as he entered, the battle chi in his body surged out, forming a huge barrier. Those who were not dead were all enveloped inside, protecting them. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply, and also resolutely entered the swamp of death. The moment he entered, he raised his arm and patted the air. Immediately, a bright golden light gushed out from his palm, like a wave, rushing towards the air waves that trapped Dong Jungyang and the others. A shocking scene unfolded before their eyes. Wherever the golden light passed, the air waves turned in the air and rushed towards the forest in front. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang's body also trembled violently, and blood spurted out from his mouth. His arm was instantly smashed. Fortunately, the air waves were driven away, and everyone was able to escape. When the dust settled, there were only about 50 people left alive. Without exception, all of them were covered in wounds, breathing weakly, and their faces were pale. Fatso and the other three also entered the swamp, standing behind Qin Feiyang. Looking at Wu Yan and the others, they had an indescribable feeling in their hearts. Whoosh! At this moment, 3 figures rushed out of the forest and stood side by side on a small hill, only a dozen meters away from Qin Feiyang and the others. Qin Feiyang looked up. As expected, it was 3 familiar people, Yan Tianfeng, Emma Wuxian and Pan Wuyan, the 3 kings of Yinzhou. Who are you? Why are you so cruel? Wu Yan glanced at the 3 people, and his blood-stained face twisted. Cruel? Pan Wuyan sneered and said, You're too naive. This is the War of the 9 States, not a game. From now on, it's either you or us. Wu Yan said angrily, You're right, but you? What about us? Sneak attack. Villain. What a joke. The winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. Everyone only sees the glory of the winner, and no one cares about the death of losers like you. Pan Wuyan sneered. Wu Yan fell silent. The others also fell silent. Indeed, as long as they could win, it didn't matter whether the method was glorious or not. You're stupid enough. Yan Tianfeng sneered and pointed at Lu Xingchen, but he looked at Wu Yan and the others and said, He repeatedly advised you not to come in, but you insisted. Aren't you courting death? The most important thing is that the spiritual state chose a good captain. You actually abandoned your fellow disciples at the critical moment. I really don't know what your mansion master thinks. Yan Tianfeng laughed presumptuously. Hearing this, Ren Wuxuang's face suddenly filled with anger. Don't be angry. Qin Feiyang comforted in a low voice. He looked at Yan Tianfeng and the other 2 and said with a faint smile, No matter how bad our mansion master is, he's still better than your mansion master. The 3's eyes turned cold. Emma Wuxian looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, You're Qin Feiyang? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Of course. Emma Wuxian's eyes immediately turned cold and said, Do you know what Master told us before we came to the 9 underworlds? Master? Dong Jungyang and the others were shocked. Could this person be the mansion master's disciple? Of course, Qin Feiyang already knew that Emma Wuxian was the mansion master's disciple. He wasn't surprised at all and said calmly, Tell me. Emma Wuxian said, Master told us to kill you in the 9 underworlds. Qin Feiyang said in surprise, That old witch is so concerned about me. Shouldn't I be honored? Honored? Emma Wuxian and the others looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. But it was a laugh of ridicule. Is this person an idiot? How could he feel honored? He really doesn't know what he's talking about. Emma Wuxian stopped laughing and said, Since things have come to this, why don't you tell us the truth? Are Ma San and Xia Hai in disguise? Are you the one who stole the alchemy fire of the inner palace? Wu Yan and the others looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Qin Feiyang glanced at Emma Wuxian and the others, and the corners of his mouth gradually rose. He nodded and said, Yes, it's me. As Emo Wuxian said, there was no need to hide it now. Haha. Emo Wuxian immediately laughed. Amazing. A mere 8-star combat emperor broke into the Cloud Prefecture and stole 2 alchemy fires of the Cloud Prefecture, killed dozens of geniuses of the Inner Palace, and even killed Commander Nya. However, it wasn't until now that they found out the identity of this person. What a great irony. The hearts of Wu Yan and the others were filled with shock. Did this guy eat a leopard's guts? He went to the Cloud Prefecture and stole the alchemy fire of the Inner Palace? He's really a lawless devil. Qin Feiyang swallowed a regeneration pill. He looked at the 3 of them and said, I reckon that you guys really want to kill me right now. Especially you, Emo Wuxian. Back then, in order to avenge your younger brother, you really racked your brains. Come, let us settle this now. Crack. The 3 of them clenched their fists. Chapter 572. At the same time, Wu Yan and the others couldn't help but panic. One had to know that although there were only 3 of them, they were all battle masters. On their side, the ones who were seriously injured and crippled were crippled. The only ones who could fight against the battle masters were Dong Junyang and Qin Feiyang himself. But there was no chance of winning 2 against 3. It was unwise to provoke them at this time. They really couldn't understand why Qin Feiyang, who had always been smart, would make such a decision in such a situation. Dong Junyang was also extremely puzzled, but he did not show it, and only hid it in his heart. Because once he revealed his fear, the other 3 would know that he was afraid, and would definitely be attacked by them. But if he was a little stronger, the other party might not dare to make a move. Time passed breath by breath. Although Emo Wuxian and the other 2 were furious, they did not make a move. What is it? The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted as he chuckled. As the 3 great kings of the inner palace of the Cloud State, are you afraid of a group of defeated soldiers like us? Afraid of you? Yin Tianfeng immediately laughed out of anger and said, All right, let's settle this today. But at this time, Emo Wuxian pulled him back, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, How about we talk about the conditions? Qin Feiyang was slightly startled and asked, What conditions? Emo Wuxian said, I can spare your life, but the others must be killed. As long as you stand by the side and don't interfere, I will let you leave. Ugh. Qin Feiyang was stunned, but Wu Yan and the others immediately panicked. Sui hurriedly said, Senior brother Qin, all of this is our fault. We insisted on coming in, but please be magnanimous, don't leave us behind. That's right, senior brother Qin. Even if we are wrong, we are still your junior brothers. What's more, now that we know our mistakes, we shouldn't have fooled around with Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong. Don't worry, we will definitely listen to you in the future. If you tell us to go east, we will definitely not go west. Everyone begged one after another, their eyes filled with helplessness. If Qin Feiyang really did not care, then they would only die today. There was no other way. However, Fatso sneered. It was fine if it happened once or twice, but if the same thing happened again and again, who could stand it? Feiyang, they have indeed made a lot of mistakes along the way. However, the ancients also said that it is the greatest virtue to be able to correct one's mistakes. Just forgive them this time. I promise that this will be the last time I plead for them. If they do it again, you can punish them however you want. Ren Wuxuang looked at Qin Feiyang nervously, not to mention the others. Just Wu Yan and Wu Yan had repeatedly crossed the bottom line of this cheap little brother. According to this little brother's personality, he would have killed them long ago. However, she knew that Qin Feiyang had been holding back because he was concerned about her feelings. Therefore, she couldn't help but feel guilty when she pleaded for everyone again. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned to look at Ren Wuxuang and said with a faint smile, I didn't say I don't care. Immediately, Ren Wuxuang was overjoyed. However, Emo Wuxian and the other 2's eyes darkened. Pan Wuyan said coldly, I'm afraid you can't do anything about it. Is that so? Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 and said playfully, I really want to see who is stronger between you and Commander Nya. The 3's pupils suddenly shrank. Boom! All of a sudden, Qin Feiyang's aura exploded and his eyes became extremely sharp. He snorted and said, Don't dilly-dally, I'm just an 8-star combat emperor. You can come at me. However, the three didn't move, because there was a trace of fear in their hearts. Alright, I'll let you go today, but next time, you won't be so lucky. Finally, Wuxian looked at the crowd gloomily, and left without looking back. Don't be complacent, there's still a long way to go. We'll see. Yes, the best part is yet to come. Pan Wuyan. And Wuyan sneered and turned to leave. When the three of them disappeared from their sight, Wu Yan and the others immediately collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath and feeling lingering fear. Qin Feiyang also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, with his and Dong Junyang's strength, it was indeed difficult to deal with Wuxian and the other two, but he believed that the three of them would definitely not make a move. At this moment, the blood sun had already risen. The skeletons on the plain had all drilled into the ground. Ren Wuxuang walked to the edge of the death swamp and scanned the empty plain with a melancholic expression. If everyone had listened to Lu Xingqian's advice and entered the swamp after recuperating, would the casualties have been so heavy? Everyone rest here. Qin Feiyang glanced at Ren Wuxuang and reminded everyone. Then he walked to Ren Wuxuang's side and whispered, "Sister, what are you thinking about? 550 people, now there are only 50 left. Tell me, is it worth it to make such a sacrifice just to enter the imperial capital?" Ren Wuxuang's eyes were a little confused. "It's not worth it." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Ren Wuxuang said, "But why do so many people want to go, and even don't care about their lives?" Qin Feiyang said, "That's because they don't know much about the imperial capital. They think it's a holy land, but in fact, it's no different from Lingzhou or Yin County." "Brother Qin, it seems that you know the imperial capital very well." At this moment, Lu Xingqian walked forward and looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "I once read an ancient book that had records about the imperial capital." Lu Xingqian said in surprise, "There's such an ancient book, can you lend it to me?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he nodded. "Sure. But I'm also very curious about self-sealing. Can you explain it to me in detail?" Lu Xingqian chuckled and immediately changed the topic. "Looking at your expression just now, you seem to be sure that Wuxian and the other two wouldn't dare to make a move? I'm also curious about this." Dong Junyang also walked up and looked at Qin Feiyang with a face full of surprise. Qin Feiyang said, "When I first entered the 9 Nether Yellow Springs, I had a conflict with Morong Xiong. At that time, didn't I say that I killed a 2-star combat grandmaster?" Dong Junyang and the others nodded. Qin Feiyang said, "This person was a commander under the Yunzhou prefecture governor, and I killed him in the Yunzhou prison." Heard about it. The three of them looked at each other. This guy was really crazy to kill someone in someone else's prison, Dong Junyang said. "In that case, they are afraid of you because of this, so they don't dare to make a move." Qin Feiyang said, "That's just one aspect. Is there another aspect?" Dong Junyang was surprised. "That's right. What you see is just the surface. In fact, there is a deep hatred between them. When I first entered the Yunzhou, Wuxian almost died in the hands of Pan Wuyan and Yin Tianfeng." Qin Feiyang said, "I understand. Wuxian is worried that the same thing will happen again." Lu Xingqian said in realization, "Yes. As long as there is a chance, Pan Wuyan and Yin Tianfeng will get rid of him again." Qin Feiyang nodded. "I was quite worried at first, but after hearing what you said, the Yunzhou side is not a concern. In the future, when we meet people from the Yunzhou, we will specifically target Wuxian." Lu Xingqian said with a smile. "What do you mean?" Dong Junyang was puzzled. Lu Xingqian said, "He is afraid of being schemed against by Yin Tianfeng and Yin Tianfeng, so he definitely won't dare to accept the challenge easily, because as long as he is injured, Yin Tianfeng and Yin Tianfeng will have a chance." "Brother Qin, don't you think so? I don't care about the three of them. I'm thinking now, when will we meet people from the other major regions? What about their strength?" Qin Feiyang said, "No matter how much you think about it, it's useless to take one step at a time." Lu Xingqian smiled faintly and returned to his resting place. He sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to recuperate. Dong Jungyang glanced at Lu Xingchen and raised his eyebrows. This person was becoming more and more unfathomable, completely unfathomable. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Regarding the choice of captain, I want to discuss with you." Dongfang Wuhan had escaped, so the captain naturally had to be chosen again. Qin Feiyang laughed. "There's nothing to discuss, you will be the captain." "What captain?" He wasn't interested in it at all, because this was a thankless task. Dong Jungyang's face suddenly twitched. He didn't want to be the captain either. But now, other than Qin Feiyang, it seemed that he was the only one who had this ability. Suddenly, he looked at Ren Wushuang. Ren Wushuang was taken aback and frowned. "What are you looking at me for?" Dong Jungyang said, "You are the granddaughter of the mansion master, and your words carry more weight than Qin Feiyang and I. You will be the captain." Ren Wushuang wanted to say something, but Dong Jungyang didn't give her the chance to speak. He turned to look at Wu Yan and the others and said loudly, "Now, Ren Wushuang will be the captain, do you agree?" "Agree." Everyone nodded. "Good, then it's decided." Dong Jungyang nodded and smiled. He turned to look at Ren Wushuang and said, "Captain, I'm going to recuperate first. Call me if you need anything." "You." Ren Wushuang wanted to say something again, but Dong Jungyang still didn't give her a chance to speak. He strode to the resting place, sat on the ground, and closed his eyes. "This? Ren Wushuang looked at Dong Jungyang, then glanced at the crowd, and finally looked at Qin Feiyang for help. Qin Feiyang laughed. "Since it's what everyone wants, don't refuse." "Bastard." Ren Wushuang glared at him fiercely and said helplessly, "Okay, but you have to do your best to help me." Qin Feiyang said, "That's for sure." Ren Wushuang felt relieved. He felt that as long as he had Qin Feiyang's help, there seemed to be nothing impossible. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and asked in a low voice, "What happened between you and Lu Xingchen just now? What was the conversation between the two of them? What self-sealing? What ancient book?" It gave people a feeling that they couldn't figure it out. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "You will know in the future." Still hiding it, Ren Wushuang rolled her eyes at him and walked over to recuperate. Qin Feiyang swallowed a healing pill and turned his head to glance at Lu Xingchen. But beside Lu Xingchen, he found a familiar figure. Xiang Xiaolong. Suddenly, he was surprised. This person actually didn't die? One had to know. Those who were still alive were all 6-star combat emperors and above. And those who died, their cultivation was also higher than Xiang Xiaolong. But Xiang Xiaolong could survive? Strange. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and turned to look at the vast plain, his eyes flickering. Time flew by. Half an hour passed by quickly. Ren Wushuang opened her beautiful eyes and stood up to look at everyone, saying, "Have you rested well? If you have, then get ready to set off." Immediately, everyone opened their eyes one after another and stood up. Although their bodies were covered in blood and emitted a pungent smell, they were all hale and hearty and full of fighting spirit. Looking at everyone's mental state, Ren Wushuang was quite satisfied. Although we haven't encountered any danger, the Death Swamp is definitely not a good place. The most important thing is that there are not only us in the Death Swamp, there are people from the other 8 provinces. Therefore, when we move forward, not only must we line up properly, we must also pay attention to the situation around us. Because any movement in the wind or grass may contain killing intent. Understand? Ren Wushuang shouted. Understood. Everyone nodded. Good, now I will arrange it. Qin Feiyang, Fatso, you two follow me and open up the path. Dong Jungyang, Lu Xingchen, you two are responsible for covering the rear. Shenlong, Jiangwei, you two lead the 8-star combat emperors and protect everyone on both sides. The rest of you also need to protect each other. Also, if there is a dispute again, no matter who it is, kill them all. At the end, Ren Wushuang's voice became incomparably fierce, like an invisible blade, causing everyone to tremble in fear. Let's go. Immediately, as Ren Wushuang waved her jade-like hand, everyone quickly lined up and carefully walked towards the jungle in front of them. Fatso laughed in a low voice. Boss, this Ren Wushuang is quite dignified when she is serious. As the granddaughter of the prefecture master, it would be abnormal if she was not dignified. Don't talk nonsense, carefully observe the front. Qin Feiyang's face was very serious. His eyes were like lightning, sweeping back and forth in front. In particular, he paid special attention to the shrubs and weeds where people could hide. After the group had walked for a distance, Ren Wuxuang came to the front row, walking side by side with Qin Feiyang, and asked, "Did you find anything wrong?" "Not yet." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Ren Wuxuang said, "Even if not, we can't let our guard down." Along the way, everyone did not speak. Their ears were listening to their surroundings, and their eyes were looking around. Even the most restless Su Yang and Wu Yan were unprecedentedly obedient. Everywhere they passed, except for the sound of everyone's footsteps, there was dead silence. At noon, someone suggested to find a place to rest first. After Ren Wuxuang considered it, he also agreed with this suggestion. Because, although they did not encounter any danger along the way, everyone's nerves had been tense, and after a long time, it was inevitable that they would feel tired. After a while, they found the best place to rest. This place was still a wild forest, but within a radius of 500 or 600 meters, there was not a single tree, only weeds, shrubs, and a small pool. The terrain was also very flat, and naturally, the field of vision was very wide. If someone appeared or something abnormal happened, they would be able to detect it at once. However, Qin Feiyang and Fatso did not rest. The two stood on a black stone, scanning in all directions, not letting go of any suspicious places. After arranging everyone, Ren Wuxuang walked over, jumped on the stone, stood beside Qin Feiyang and asked, "How is it?" "I didn't find anything, it should be fine." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "That's good." Ren Wuxuang breathed a sigh of relief and asked with concern, "Are you tired? If you are, you should take a rest." Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "This kind of environment is nothing to me. You go to rest." Since leaving the capital, he had been living a life of desperation. What place had he not been to? Therefore, whether it was the ability to accept unfamiliar environments or the ability to withstand unknown dangers, they were far superior to other people of the same age. "I'm not tired either." Ren Wuxuang shook his head. Once in the ruins, she was able to persevere, and naturally here was no exception. Suddenly, Shinmei opened her eyes and looked at the pool not far away, as if struggling with something. Finally, she got up, walked to Qin Feiyang and the other two and said shyly, "That, Qin Feiyang, can you help me to take a look at that pool?" "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Cough, cough. Fatso clenched his fist, put it to his mouth and coughed and laughed. "Boss, you don't even know this, your EQ is worrying." Chapter 573. Since entering the 9 nether yellow springs, everyone had been fighting and fleeing. The blood, dirt, and dust on their bodies had never been washed. Therefore, when she saw the pool, Shinmei wanted to wash it. Of course, this was understandable. After all, as a woman, a beautiful woman, it was her nature to love beauty and cleanliness. Shinmei said again, "If it really doesn't work, it doesn't matter, I can hold on. It's okay. I also think that everyone should wash up." Qin Feiyang smiled, jumped down from the stone, and carefully walked towards the pool. Before this, he really didn't care about this. But after Shinmei said it, and looking at everyone's unkempt appearance, it was indeed time to wash up. However, under the water, any danger could exist, so he had to explore it clearly first. The pool was not far away. Qin Feiyang quickly walked to the pool. The pool was very clear, 56 meters wide, surrounded by aquatic plants, but he couldn't see the bottom of the pool. Qin Feiyang observed for a while. The water was always calm, giving people a sense of tranquility. But he didn't rashly go down. He found a wash basin-sized stone and threw it into the pool. Immediately, water splashed everywhere. The stone quickly sank to the bottom of the pool, but after a long time, it still didn't sink to the bottom. It was enough to see that this pool was very deep. "Do you want to go down and take a look?" Qin Feiyang was a little hesitant. Finally, he gritted his teeth, jumped directly into the pool, and quickly sank to the bottom of the pool. The water was unexpectedly calm, and there wasn't even half a creature. But the more it was like this, the more cautious Qin Feiyang was. and even took out Chang Shui in case of an accident. After about 200 breaths, he finally saw the bottom of the pool. The moment he saw the bottom of the pool, he immediately stopped, his eyes full of horror. At the bottom of the pool, there were actually a lot of bones piled up. The stone that was thrown into the pool before was now on top of the bones. Qin Feiyang glanced at them one by one, and couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. These bones, there were human skulls and beast skulls. It was like coming to hell, making people stop at sight. This was enough to prove that the pool was not safe. But where exactly was the danger? Because at the bottom of the lake, Qin Feiyang only saw bones and no other creatures. Qin Feiyang really wanted to go down and look for it, but there was a voice in his heart that told him not to take the risk. After pondering for a moment, he decisively swam towards the surface of the water. But suddenly, he stopped again and looked to the left of the bottom of the lake. A trace of bewilderment crept into his eyes. Over there, a strand of multicolored light seemed to appear, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. Was it an illusion? Qin Feiyang frowned. However, in the next moment, the multicolored light appeared again and then disappeared. It's not an illusion. Qin Feiyang felt refreshed and immediately swam to the left. However, he did not enter the bottom of the pool and kept a distance from it. This kind of flashing multicolored light was most likely emitted by some kind of treasure. As they got closer, the multicolored light became more and more obvious. Vaguely, Qin Feiyang saw a vague glowing object at the bottom of the pool. There's really a treasure. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed, but he did not lose his mind because of this. He slowly approached, holding the Chang Shui tightly in his hand. After a few breaths, he finally saw the glowing object clearly. It was actually a flower. This flower, rooted in a piece of mud, was about the size of a palm, and was shaped like a snow lotus. However, it only had 3 leaves, and each leaf seemed to be carved out of crystal without any flaws. Moreover, its whole body flickered with a hazy multicolored light. Although it was rooted in mud, it was not stained with the slightest bit of dirt. It was exceptionally beautiful. Qin Feiyang was entranced by it. What kind of flower was this? How could it grow in such a place? It also looked somewhat familiar. However, he was certain that this flower was definitely not an ordinary object. After carefully observing the situation around, and seeing that there were no other creatures, Qin Feiyang slowly approached the flower. However, just as he was about to grab it, he seemed to have discovered something terrifying. He quickly retracted his arm and rushed towards the surface of the water without hesitation. Just as he retracted his arm, the mud near the flower violently surged. Whoosh! Following closely, a group of mysterious creatures rushed out of the mud and rushed towards Qin Feiyang like lightning. These mysterious creatures were as long as chopsticks, as thick as a thumb, and as black as ink. They looked like snakes, but they were not snakes, because they did not have snake scales or eyes. However, they could clearly sense Qin Feiyang's existence and chased after him relentlessly. Damn it! Why are there these damn things? Qin Feiyang looked down at those mysterious creatures, and his face was ashen. These creatures were very fast, but compared to Qin Feiyang, they were still a little slower. A moment later, Qin Feiyang rushed out of the water and quickly climbed ashore. After reaching the shore, he did not continue to escape. He stood on the shore and scanned the lake, red sword chi surging all over his body. What's going on? Fatso and the other 2 were surprised and rushed towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang said without turning his head, "Don't come over. Be prepared to escape at any time." Escape? The 3 of them looked at each other. Was there some ferocious beast at the bottom of the lake? Thinking of this, Run Wushuang quivered and shouted, "There's a situation. Everyone be on guard." In an instant, everyone opened their eyes and got into a state of alert. Whoosh! Almost at the same time, the group of mysterious creatures rushed out of the pool and rushed towards Qin Feiyang. What? Black demon locusts? Seeing this, not far away, Fatty and the others all had a change of expression. Black demon locusts and blood leech locusts were the same. They could drill into the bodies of creatures and suck their blood until the end of their lives. But black demon locusts were more terrifying than blood leech locusts, because their bodies were very tough. It was very difficult for ordinary sharp weapons to break through their defense. And the most important point was that they could not only suck blood, but also absorb battle chi. Fatso shouted, "Boss, don't tangle with them. Run. We can't leave yet." Qin Feiyang whispered. The red sword chi turned into a torrent and rushed towards the black demon locusts. At that moment, those black demon locusts began to absorb his battle chi. But some of the black demon locusts were cut into pieces and fell into the pool. However, these black demon locusts were also known to be immortal. Even if they were chopped into pieces, they would come back to life again. And they would form a brand new independent entity. For example, if there was only one black demon locust at the moment, if you cut it in half, it would become two. Unless it was burned to ashes, there would only be more and more of them. This was the most terrifying part of the black demon locusts. Qin Feiyang, you can't kill all these damn things. Quickly retreat with us. Dong Jungyang also shouted anxiously. That's not necessarily true, Qin Feiyang muttered. The crimson sword chi retracted, and the flaming battle chi surged out with an earth-shattering momentum. But groups of black demon locusts came one after another. After one wave was burned, another wave came. And even if it was the flaming battle chi, they dared to absorb it. The most shocking thing was that as they kept absorbing the battle chi, their bodies became bigger and bigger, more and more ferocious. Several black demon locusts had swelled to the size of an arm, which made one's hair stand on end. They can absorb battle chi, but they can't absorb real flames. Why don't we just set them on fire? Someone suggested. Setting them on fire can only deal with ordinary locusts. But these black demon locusts, even ordinary weapons can't cut their flesh, let alone ordinary flames. Dong Jungyang immediately rejected this suggestion. Shen Mei frowned. So don't the black demon locusts have invincible bodies? You can say that. Dong Jungyang nodded. Set them on fire? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This reminded him. Ordinary flames couldn't, flaming battle chi couldn't. Then what about alchemy fire? Alchemy fire didn't belong to any battle chi. Could it effectively prevent these black demon locusts from coming back to life? Thinking of this, with a thought, the nether devil flame appeared. The temperature released by a 5th-grade alchemy fire was very shocking. As soon as the nether devil flame was revived, the temperature between heaven and earth soared rapidly, like a big furnace in an instant. The surrounding bushes and weeds dried up at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then burned. A few breaths passed. This place became a sea of fire. What grade is this alchemy fire? Even I can't stand the temperature released. Wu Yan and the others in the resting area were shocked. At the same time, Lu Xingqian looked at the nether devil flame with a strange light in his eyes. If I'm not wrong, this alchemy fire should be 5th grade. What? 5th grade? Everyone was dumbfounded. In the entire spiritual state, only the inner palace had the highest grade of alchemy fire, but it was only 4th grade. Where did this Qin Feiyang get a 5th grade alchemy fire? Could it be Yinzhou? The appearance of the nether devil flame did play a significant role. Those black demon locusts weren't as crazy as before. Some of them surrounded Qin Feiyang, and some didn't dare to approach. Some retreated to the pool and floated on the water surface, watching covetously. Only a small portion of the black demon locusts were still rushing toward Qin Feiyang. The few black demon locusts that had swelled to the size of an arm were among them, and vaguely emitted the aura of a king. Qin Feiyang's gaze was locked on them, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent, because he couldn't let them continue to grow, or they would inevitably become a threat to him. Clang! Just as those black demon locusts were approaching, he raised his arm, and waved the Chang Shui in his hand like lightning, cutting those black demon locusts into pieces on the spot. Then, with a thought, the nether devil flame rushed over. The horrifying heat shrouded over, and those pieces were quickly burned to ashes. This scene seemed to have frightened the other black demon locusts, and they all retreated to the pool. Umph! Qin Feiyang snorted and waved his hand. The nether devil flame turned into a stream of light, and directly entered the pool. Immediately, the pool began to boil, bubbling, and wisps of white mist rose. What is he trying to do? Everyone was puzzled. Lu Xingqian said, he probably wants to evaporate the water in the pool. Why is he doing this? Just to deal with the black demon locusts? Isn't it boring? Everyone couldn't help but frown. Humph. Fatso snorted secretly, his eyes full of disdain. Boring? What a joke. Boss never did meaningless things. There must be something in the pool that moved Boss's heart. Whoosh. Chapter 574. Arriving beside Qin Feiyang, Fatso whispered. Boss, what did you find? Qin Feiyang said. A strange flower. Strange flower. Fatso's eyes immediately lit up. The water temperature was getting higher and higher, and the steam was getting more and more. The water level was rapidly decreasing. Suddenly, Fatso seemed to have thought of something and said, Boss, since that strange flower grows at the bottom of the pool, will you destroy it by doing this? His words woke the dreamer up. Qin Feiyang anxiously recalled the nether devil flame. Looking at the pool, he really couldn't think of a better idea. Finally, he gritted his teeth, looked at Fatso and said, I'll go down again. You stay here and watch carefully. I'm worried that the commotion just now has already attracted the attention of others. The others? Fatso was secretly shocked, and said in a low voice, You mean the people from the other 8 continents? Qin Feiyang scanned his surroundings and said in a deep voice, Although we haven't seen them yet, we still have to be on guard. All right. Fatso nodded. Dong. Qin Feiyang held onto the Chang Shui, the nether devil flame above his head, and jumped into the pool once again. The water temperature was very high. However, with his current cultivation, it was still within his tolerance range. However, not long after he jumped into the pool, 5 figures shot out from the forest in front of him like lightning. When Fatso saw them, his face suddenly changed and he roared. Boss, come out quickly, Mo Wuxian and the others are here. Dong Jungyang and the rest immediately gathered together and looked at the 5 of them gloomily. That's right. The people who came were Mo Wuxian, Pan Wuyan, Yen Tianfeng, Lu Yanfeng and Pei Sanshi. Mo Wuxian swept his gaze across the crowd, his eyes filled with a cold light. He waved his hand and shouted, Attack! Boom! The aura of the 5 of them exploded. Mo Wuxian rushed towards Fatso, while Yen Tianfeng and the other 3 rushed towards Dong Jungyang and the others. Fatso's face was pale white. Lu Yanfeng and Pei Sanshi had actually already broken through to the War Master. In other words, there were currently 5 King-S of the War Master level in the Cloud State. How were they supposed to fight? With just Dong Jungyang alone, it was impossible to block the attacks of these 5 people. Dong. Without any hesitation, he leaped and jumped into the pool. You're pretty smart. Mo Wuxian sneered, and immediately flew towards Ren Wuxuang and the others. Dong Jungyang hurriedly shouted, You guys go quickly, I'll stop them. Yen Tianfeng sneered, No one is allowed to leave. Otherwise, all of you will die. Pan Wuyan said, If you surrender obediently and don't resist, we may let you live. Ren Wuxuang frowned. What exactly do you want? What do you want? You'll know soon enough. Mo Wuxian smiled coldly. The 5 of them didn't kill them. They just surrounded Ren Wuxuang and the others in the middle. Then, they looked at the pool as if they were waiting for something. Dong! Soon, Qin Feiyang and Fatso both jumped out of the water and landed on the shore. Seeing Mo Wuxian and the others, Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Finally out. Hand over that strange flower. Mo Wuxian said. You guys know about it too. Qin Feiyang frowned. We knew about it long ago, but we couldn't do anything to those black demon locusts. Originally, we were all prepared to give up. Who knew that you guys would come here and find a way to restrain those black demon locusts? So we hid in the forest nearby, waiting for the best time to strike. Qin Feiyang, I have to say you're really a talent. You actually have a 5th grade alchemy fire. Pan Wuyan said with a smile. Qin Feiyang said, You guys are one step too early. I haven't gotten the strange flower yet. If you guys have the ability, go down yourself. Didn't get it? The 5 of them immediately raised their eyebrows. Qin Feiyang said, I'm very confused. Do you know what that strange flower is? Why do you want it so badly? I don't know, but looking at it, I know it's not an ordinary thing. Since you didn't get it, then give me your 5th grade alchemy fire. If you dare to refuse, all of them will die in front of you. Emma Wuxian pointed at Ren Wuxuang and the others and said coldly. Qin Feiyang glanced at the crowd, and the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. He looked at Emma Wuxian and said with a faint smile. To be honest, I'm also very annoyed with them. If you really kill them, it will save me a lot of trouble. Senior brother Qin, you can't do this. Please give them the alchemy fire and save us. Wu Yan and the others panicked and begged. Is your life worth this 5th grade alchemy fire? Qin Feiyang sneered. Bastard, I've been so loyal to you. I didn't expect you to be such a heartless person. I was blind. Dong Jingyang immediately roared. Heart and lungs. Don't be funny. Who doesn't know that you want to kill me to avenge the Dong family? Qin Feiyang smiled disdainfully. Emma Wuxian glanced at Dong Jingyang and looked at Qin Feiyang mockingly. It seems that you have a deep grudge in the spiritual state. Qin Feiyang shrugged and said helplessly. I can't help it. I'm just too likable. Pan Wuyan and the others' faces twitched. Not ashamed but proud. How could there be such a thick-skinned person in the world? However, Emma Wuxian's gaze swept back and forth between Dong Jingyang and Qin Feiyang. Suddenly, his eyes flashed and he gave the two a thumbs up. Amazing. I didn't expect you to be so talented in acting. I almost believed it. Qin Feiyang and Dong Jingyang's hearts sank. That's right. They were indeed acting before to make Emma Wuxian and the others careless, and then cooperate to save everyone. However, they didn't expect Emma Wuxian to see through it so quickly. Acting. Pan Wuyan and the others were stunned and their eyes turned cold. Yen Tianfeng waved his hand and his battle chi emerged, turning into a giant yellow hand and grabbing towards Ren Wuxuang and the others. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. Dong Jingyang shouted coldly and stepped in front of everyone. The black demonic seal instantly condensed and blasted towards the giant hand. At the same time, Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Fatso and the netherworld demonic flame into the castle. He then used phantom steps and rushed towards Ren Wuxuang and the others. Humph! Emma Wuxian and Pan Wuyan snorted and stood in front of Qin Feiyang. Boom! Accompanied by a loud noise, the black demonic seal and the giant hand collided. The giant hand was just an ordinary attack, and naturally couldn't block the black demonic seal. It instantly shattered, and then the black demonic seal carried the power to destroy the world and blasted towards Yen Tianfeng. Heaven Dipper Art Battle Shield. Yen Tianfeng bellowed. His fan-like hand stretched out in the air. His battle chi surged, condensing into a thick and heavy shield in front of him, blocking the black demonic seal. After a short exchange, the two of them retreated a few steps at the same time, a trace of blood flowing out from the corner of their mouths. Yen Tianfeng was furious and shouted, Lu Yinfeng, Pei Sanshur, follow me and destroy them. The two of them released their battle chi, and their auras soared into the clouds. But at this time, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said loudly, Lu Yinfeng, Pei Sanshur, have you forgotten how they humiliated you in the past? Don't you want to wash away this humiliation? Immediately, Lu Yinfeng and Pei Sanchi's bodies stiffened. A raging anger burned in their hearts. Back then in the Spirit Cloud Mountain Range, the slap that Yin Tianfeng gave them was like a stain that was branded in their hearts, something that they would never be able to forget. A good chance. Seeing this, a cold light flashed in Dong Jingyang's eyes. He took a mysterious step and rushed towards Yin Tianfeng. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and Emma Wuxian's battle also began. 7 killing arts open. Emma Wuxian's body trembled. Blood chi coiled around his entire body, and his killing intent boiled. Whiz! Following closely, 100 zhang long blood-red blade appeared out of nowhere, charging towards Qin Feiyang, its sharpness tearing through the earth. Ice Heaven Manifestation! Above Pan Wuyan's head, a frost vortex also appeared, and a huge ice elephant roared out, its ferocious might unparalleled, and swooped down towards Qin Feiyang. The two of them used their battle arts the moment they made their move. From this, it could be seen how much they feared Qin Feiyang. But Qin Feiyang had no intention of fighting them head-on. When the two great battle arts rushed over, he directly entered the ancient castle. When the two great battle arts whistled past, he walked out of the ancient castle. Using the phantom steps, He left behind an incomparably real afterimage around Emma Wuxian and Pei Sanshi. Emma Wuxian and Pei Sanshi looked at those illusions a little confused. Who exactly was Qin Feiyang's original body? Destroy all of them. Pan Wuyan suddenly let out a fierce roar. Chirp. Accompanied by a sharp chirp, an ice phoenix soared out of the vortex above her head. Wherever it passed, the illusions continued to dissipate. Looks like you didn't remember Commander Nie's lesson. But suddenly, a cold voice sounded behind Pan Wuyan. She suddenly tensed up and hurriedly turned around. A cold face immediately entered her line of sight. It was Qin Feiyang, and it was close at hand. Out of fear of Qin Feiyang, she did not hesitate and immediately retreated. However, at the same time, she felt a pain in her chest and instinctively looked down, only to see a pure white jade dagger sinking into her heart. Ah! The intense pain swept over like a tide, and she could not help but scream. But at the same time, a crazed look appeared in her eyes. She suddenly stretched out her hands, hugging Qin Feiyang tightly, and shouted, "Emma Wuxian, quickly!" Seeing this, Emma Wuxian's murderous aura soared, and several blood blades condensed in an instant, slashing towards Qin Feiyang's neck. Are you crazy? Qin Feiyang was furious. He really did not expect Pan Wuyan to be so crazy. Women were indeed creatures that should not be provoked. Pan Wuyan laughed sinisterly. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. Then you'd better die by yourself. Qin Feiyang's heart moved, and directly brought Pan Wuyan to the ancient castle. Boom! The moment he disappeared, several blood blades arrived, smashing into the ground. This place immediately exploded, leaving behind a huge crater. Damn it! Emma Wuxian was furious. Originally, this was the best opportunity to kill Qin Feiyang, but he did not expect him to escape. All of you must die. He seemed to have transformed into a violent beast, and turned to stare at Ren Wuxuang and the rest. Boom! He took a step forward and madly rushed over. Inside the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang's body shook, and he forcefully pushed Pan Wuyan away, and punched her lower abdomen. Ah! With a shrill scream, Pan Wuyan was sent flying on the spot, crashing into the wall behind her. Kill her, Qin Feiyang said to Fatso, and his killing intent was bone-piercing. Pan Wuyan's heart was pierced by Chang Shui, and she was already at the end of her rope. So even if she stayed in the ancient castle, she would not be a threat to Fatso and the rest. Next, he took Chang Shui and left the ancient castle. When he saw Emma Wuxian rushing towards Ren Wuxuang and the rest, he used the phantom steps, and quickly chased after him, at the same time roaring, "Emma Wuxian, if you dare to touch them, when I leave the 9 Nether Yellow Springs, I will definitely go to Yunzhou and slaughter everyone in your Mo family. You have to have the ability to do so." Chapter 575. Qin Feiyang was furious, and pushed his speed to the limit. However, even though he had the perfect phantom steps, Emma Wuxian was a war master, and his speed was much faster than him. He really couldn't catch up. However, could it be that they were just going to watch Emma Wuxuang kill Ren Wuxuang and the others? He didn't care about the others. But Ren Wuxuang, he had no choice but to care. Senior brother Qin, save us. I don't want to die yet. At the same time, seeing the crazed Emma Wuxian, Wu Yin and the others turned pale with fright. They began to call for Qin Feiyang's help non-stop. Looking at Dong Jungyang, he was tightly entangled by Yin Tianfeng, and was unable to escape. Qin Feiyang, I want you to watch them die one by one in front of you. This is the price of provoking me. Go to hell. Emma Wuxian went completely crazy. The murderous aura around his body turned into bloody sharp blades, exuding an astonishing destructive power, and rushed towards Ren Wuxuang and the others. Shenlong, Jiangwei, please, you must block it. Please rest assured, even if your sea of qi is shattered, I can still save you. At this moment, only Shenlong and Jiang Wei could save everyone from the fire and water. Although it was very likely that they would die because of this, there was no other way now. Emma Wuxian mocked. You can still save a shattered sea of qi, a shattered sea of consciousness. Do you think you are a god? Whether he can save us or not, we will still take action. Without hesitation, Shenlong and Jiang Wei looked at each other, their eyes filled with determination. Next, The two of them took a step forward at the same time and stood in front of everyone. Then their bodies shook and their battle chi surged out like a torrent. Hurricane slash. Tiger subduing celestial phenomenon. With a low shout from the two, their battle chi soared into the sky, condensing into a huge hurricane and a huge golden tiger above their heads, releasing a destructive aura. Woo woo. Ayo. The two of them waved their hands, and the hurricane howled. The tiger's roar shook the sky, and two battle arts blasted towards the blood blades at the same time. Boom. Immediately, a deafening explosion echoed in the area. Retreat! Ren Wuxuang shouted. Everyone quickly retreated, but their eyes were firmly locked onto Shen Long and Yi Shiwen. They kept praying in their hearts that they absolutely could not fall. Why am I so weak? If my cultivation is strong enough, I can protect everyone. To think that I'm the granddaughter of the manor head. What a joke. Ren Wuxuang looked at the fearless Shen Long duo and blamed himself in his heart. But in the end, Shen Long and the other man were still unable to persevere. Accompanied by a blood-curdling scream, his body was sent flying. Blood spurted from his mouth, and the two battle arts were destroyed by the blood blade. While flying, the two of them glanced at Qin Feiyang behind Emma Wuxian. Jiang Wei said, Qin Feiyang won't be able to arrive in time. We still have to do something. Then let's do it, Shen Long said. The two of them knew that they would definitely die this time, but both their tone and expression were extremely calm. In fact, they were also afraid of death, but for the dignity of the spiritual state, they chose to defend it to the end. Compared to Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong, they were indeed much better and worthy of admiration. Clang! Two loud noises exploded, as if divine weapons were unsheathed, resounding through the sky. Behind the two of them, two bright lights rushed out at the same time, and in the light, there were two battle souls. Shen Long's battle soul was a giant sword that was more than 100 feet long. It was as if it was cast in gold, emitting a dazzling light. Jiang Wei's battle soul was a long halberd that was about the same size as the golden giant sword. It was surrounded by an invisible storm that was whining. In the blink of an eye, as soon as the two battle souls appeared, they carried the power to destroy the world and blasted towards the blood blades. Boom! Immediately, the two battle souls collapsed. The two of them spat out blood again and crashed into the forest beside them. Ancient trees fell one after another, and leaves flew all over the sky. Finally, the two of them crashed into a short mountain that was more than 100 feet high. The short mountain collapsed on the spot, and the two of them were instantly buried in the mud. At the same time, those blood blades also collapsed. Emma Wuxian took a few steps back, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Damn it! His face was ferocious. He didn't expect that there would be such a fearless person in the spiritual state. It was also at this time, Qin Feiyang took the opportunity to approach Emma Wuxian, but did not attack him. He swept past him, and went straight to Ren Wuxuang and the others. He was not afraid of confronting Emma Wuxian head-on. But now there were two uncertain factors. The first factor was Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sanshi. No matter what grudges they had with Emma Wuxian, the two of them were still from the cloud state. In the end, it was likely that they would still choose to attack. The second factor was that the battle here was too intense. If there were other people nearby, they would definitely be on their way. So, he had to send Ren Wuxuang and the others away first. In this way, he could give it his all. Senior brother Qin, what should we do? Quickly think of a way. As soon as Qin Feiyang stopped in front of Ren Wuxuang, everyone rushed forward. But at this time, Emma Wuxian roared, Lu Yunfeng Pei Sanshi, what are you still standing there for? Don't forget the warning master gave you before you left. Qin Feiyang turned his head and saw Emma Wuxian rushing over with a murderous aura. He saw Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sanshi again. The two of them were silent for a moment, and finally made their move. Qin Feiyang's heart sank, and he turned to Ren Wuxuang and said, Take everyone away immediately and find a hidden place to hide. What about you? Ren Wuxuang said anxiously. When the matter here is over, I will come to find you. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Okay. Ren Wuxuang nodded and whispered in Qin Feiyang's ear. I will leave a mark on the road, be careful. After saying that, she led everyone to retreat into the forest behind. Mo Wuxian shouted, "Stop them!" Lu Yunfeng and Pei Sanshi immediately chased after Run Wushuang and the others. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang turned around, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He took a step forward and stood in front of the two. You are very strong. If you escape alone, no one can stop you. Why do you care about their life and death? Pei Sanshi was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, They are my companions. Of course I have to protect them. Companions? If they are true companions, then there is nothing wrong with that. But according to my observation, they only treat you as a companion because you can protect them. If you don't have this ability, I believe they would have abandoned you long ago. Is it worth it? Pei Sanshi asked. Qin Feiyang turned his head and looked at the ruins in the forest behind them. That was where Shen Long and Jiang Wei were buried. Qin Feiyang's expression was somewhat complicated. He looked back at Pei Sanshi and shook his head. I don't know if it is worth it or not, but Shen Long and Jiang Wei's actions moved me. Mo Wuxian shouted. What are you still talking about? Let's kill him together. At this time, he was only a dozen meters away from Qin Feiyang. After he finished speaking, a blood-red light rushed out from his back. It was a blood-red sword the size of a thumb. Although it looked inconspicuous, it emitted a shocking sharpness. This was his battle spirit. He did not dare to be careless when dealing with Qin Feiyang. Therefore he used his trump card. Pei Sanshi glanced at Mo Wuxian and then looked at Qin Feiyang. I admire your character and courage, but we are enemies. Therefore this battle is inevitable. Lu Yunfeng also said. After knowing your true identity, I also want to fight with you. Today let us have a good fight. Qin Feiyang secretly sneered. He was not stupid enough to fight with the three great sections. Whoosh! He used the phantom steps and rushed toward Dong Junyang. Want to leave? No way! Mo Wuxian shouted. The small blood-red sword trembled in the void. Then, it shot toward Qin Feiyang like a sharp arrow. Lu Yunfeng and the other two also activated their battle arts. Following closely behind the blood-colored sword, they aggressively charged towards Qin Feiyang. Fight! At this moment, Qin Feiyang did not hesitate to use the battle art. His black hair and eyes instantly turned blood-red, as if they were dyed with blood. Immediately after, he slapped with his palm. In his palm, the return art appeared. A golden wave appeared, containing a hidden power, and rushed toward the blood-red sword and the two battle arts. Boom! The two collided. The blood-red sword and the two battle arts suddenly changed sides and attacked Mo Wuxian and the other two. This kind of battle art again. The three of them were shocked and hurriedly retreated to the side, narrowly avoiding this fatal blow. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang's arm also shattered, flesh and blood flying everywhere. However, he did not even frown. Instead, he borrowed the force of the impact to speed up and rush toward Dong Junyang. Just in time, Yin Tianfeng, who was locked in battle with Dong Junyang, saw Qin Feiyang approaching and immediately abandoned Dong Junyang and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. Your opponent is me. Dong Junyang shouted and immediately chased after him. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang shouted to Dong Junyang. I'll hold them back. Quickly go and see if Shen Long and Jiang Wei are dead. Dong Junyang was bewildered. Hold them back. Was he crazy? One had to know that there were 4 battle masters in front of him. Even if Qin Feiyang's battle strength was heaven-defying, it was impossible for him to be a match for them. Putting this aside, with the current situation, was there a need to care about the life and death of Shen Long and Jiang Wei? Go quickly, Qin Feiyang said angrily. Dong Junyang's heart trembled. At this moment, he seemed to feel the majesty of an emperor from Qin Feiyang. The words that came out of his mouth made him not dare to disobey. Whoosh! He swallowed his saliva, turned around and rushed into the forest, rushing toward the ruins. Want to save them? No way. Yin Tianfeng, who was rushing toward Qin Feiyang, immediately turned around and chased after Dong Junyang. Don't chase, kill Qin Feiyang first. Mo Wuxian shouted coldly. Okay. Yin Tianfeng immediately turned around and charged toward Qin Feiyang. Indeed, Qin Feiyang was the biggest threat. As long as he got rid of Qin Feiyang, The rest of the people in the spiritual state were nothing to worry about. Lu Yinfeng and Pei Sanshi also followed Emma Wuxian. Facing the four battle masters, Qin Feiyang not only did not panic, but was also unprecedentedly calm. Inside the ancient castle. Little Qinzi, what's going on? Wolf King had already been awakened. It had been waiting for Qin Feiyang to enter the ancient castle and take it out to fight. It was also mentally prepared for a bloody battle, but Qin Feiyang did not come in. Chapter 576. Brother Wolf, don't worry. If he doesn't come in, it means that he is still confident. Lu Hong advised from the side. Yes, I believe in Brother Feiyang. Lin Yi followed. Having said that, the deep worry on their faces was enough to show that their hearts were not calm at this moment. Boom! A loud noise came into the castle. Everyone knew that the battle outside had begun. Outside, Qin Feiyang and Emma Wuxian's group of four launched a fierce battle. He was at an absolute disadvantage fighting against four people alone. In less than 3 breaths his body was full of scars. But relying on the battle character tactic, no matter how serious the blow he received, he was still lively. The battle character tactic couldn't give Qin Feiyang a true immortal body. There was also a limit to his endurance. As long as he reached the limit, he would still die. However, the strength of Emma Wuxian's group had obviously not reached this limit. As the battle heated up, Emma Wuxian's group of 4 became more and more surprised. This guy's ability to withstand a beating is too terrifying, right? If it were someone else, not to mention an 8-star war emperor, even a 1-star war ancestor with the same realm as them would have died in their hands long ago. But this person didn't show any signs of weakness? Is this a dream? I don't believe it. Yen Tianfeng suddenly roared. His fist was covered with battle qi, and he punched Qin Feiyang's back with all his strength. Boom! Immediately, Qin Feiyang was like a meteorite, smashing into a boulder in front of him. The boulder shattered on the spot. Qin Feiyang fell to the ground, spurting blood from his mouth. His back was lacerated, his bones were broken, and even his internal organs were damaged. However, the next moment, he turned over and jumped up, standing firmly on the ground. His whole body was in high spirits, and his fighting spirit was unparalleled. How is this possible? What kind of monster are you? Yen Tianfeng was dumbfounded. Monster? The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted, revealing a bright smile. You can still smile. I don't believe that I can't kill you. Yen Tianfeng was furious and attacked Qin Feiyang again. Swoosh! Qin Feiyang didn't retreat, but advanced instead. The two of them collided like lightning. Yen Tianfeng's fist landed on Qin Feiyang's chest. His khaki-colored battle qi exuded a heavy aura. Puff! Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang also grabbed Chang Shui and cut off Yen Tianfeng's arm, causing blood to gush out. He can still fight back. Emma Wuxian and the other 2 turned pale with fright. Did this person consume some kind of miraculous pill? Qin Feiyang, they are still alive. At this moment, Dong Xingyang's voice came from the forest. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. He turned around without hesitation and rushed into the jungle. Trying to escape, Emma Wuxian smiled disdainfully and chased after them with Yen Tianfeng and the other 2. Boom! Behind the 4 of them, a fighting soul sword. Whoosh! Emma Wuxian's battle soul blood-red sword was the first to attack Qin Feiyang, giving him a taste of his own medicine. Qin Feiyang roared and slapped with his right palm. Golden light surged and pounced on the blood-red sword. Boom! The sword was instantly sent flying. Qin Feiyang's arm finally reached its limit and shattered. The blood in his mouth was spurting out like crazy. But at this moment, Yen Tianfeng and the other 2's fighting souls also attacked. Qin Feiyang gritted his teeth and kept Chang Shui. His left hand shot out, and the return formulae appeared again. In the end, the 3 fighting souls were sent flying. But his left hand was also instantly shattered. Emma Wuxian sneered. Let's see what else you can do after losing your hands. Yen Tianfeng, petrify him. The 4 of them were faster than Qin Feiyang. Very soon, they caught up with Qin Feiyang. Yen Tianfeng stretched out his arm and grabbed Qin Feiyang's left shoulder. Wisps of battle qi gushed out from his palm. Upon hearing the word petrify, Qin Feiyang's expression changed on the spot. If he was really petrified by Yin Tianfeng, then even if he had the battle formula, he would not be able to escape death today. So, when Yin Tianfeng grabbed him, he decisively entered the castle. Little Qinzi, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you come in earlier? With my help, you wouldn't have fallen to this point. Wolf King immediately said angrily. Just focus on your seclusion. Qin Feiyang glanced at it and looked at Fatso. Give me a regeneration pill. Fatso quickly took out the regeneration pill and fed it to Qin Feiyang. Don't worry about me, I won't die yet. After hurriedly leaving these words, Qin Feiyang left the castle and saw Emma Wuxian and the other three rushing towards Dong Junyang. Didn't you want to kill me? Why are you running now? Qin Feiyang sneered, full of provocation. But Emma Wuxian and the other three didn't even look at him. After fighting for so long, they deeply realized a problem. It was impossible to kill Qin Feiyang, because Qin Feiyang had a treasure that could hide. As long as they hid in it, even if they had heaven-defying instincts, they could only stare helplessly. So, instead of continuing to tangle with Qin Feiyang, it was better to take down Dong Junyang and the other two to threaten Qin Feiyang. Even if Qin Feiyang was not threatened, he could still directly kill the three of them and cause the spiritual state to lose three powerful combat forces. Qin Feiyang's face darkened when he saw that the four of them had failed in their provocation. He shouted, Dong Junyang, take them and flee quickly. You have the same cultivation as them. They won't be able to catch up to you. Dong Junyang was running over with the unconscious Shun Long and the other two, trying to help Qin Feiyang escape. Hearing this, he immediately stopped and frowned. What about you? Qin Feiyang said disdainfully. Don't worry, they can't do anything to me. Okay. Dong Junyang looked deeply at Qin Feiyang, and without hesitation, he turned around and rushed into the depths of the forest. Yin Tianfeng roared. Today, even if I have to go to heaven or hell, I will chase him to the end. But at this time, Lu Yinfeng stopped and shook his head. He also has a high-grade auxiliary battle art. We can't catch up. Slap. Before he finished speaking, a scene that left Qin Feiyang dumbfounded appeared. Yin Tianfeng slapped Lu Yinfeng and Dong Junyang's faces and roared. Isn't this all your fault? If you had attacked from the beginning, how could they have had the chance to escape? Lu Yinfeng and Dong Junyang stared at Yin Tianfeng and touched their burning faces, their eyes gradually darkening. Emma Wuxian, who was at the side, glanced at the three of them, then turned to look at Qin Feiyang, without any intention of interfering. Qin Feiyang watched all of this, and the corner of his mouth gradually curled up into a playful smile. If it was in the past, when Yin Tianfeng gave Lu Yinfeng and Dong Junyang a slap, the two of them could only silently endure it. But now, the two of them were no longer the same as before. Yin Tianfeng still slapped them in the face, which was undoubtedly a very unwise action. As for Emma Wuxian, he obviously had his own plans. Because whether it was Yin Tianfeng or Lu Yinfeng, they were just chess pieces in his eyes. Sooner or later, they would be eliminated. Therefore, he was very happy to see this kind of thing, so he naturally wouldn't care about it. But to Qin Feiyang, this was an opportunity. He looked at Lu Yinfeng and Dong Junyang, shook his head and sighed. It seems that even if you two break through to War Master, your status in the Cloud region will not increase in the slightest. The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang in unison, their eyes shining with a cold light. Could it be that I'm wrong? There's an old saying that goes, don't hit people in the face. But now, he slapped you in the face in front of me. Doesn't this prove that in his eyes, you are still ants? You two, I have a suggestion. Why don't we form an alliance and kill them here? With the strength of the three of us, killing Yin Tianfeng and Emma Wuxian is easy. As for my character, all of you have seen it for yourselves. I am completely worthy of your trust. After we kill them, we will go to the other side of the 9 Nether Yellow Springs together, and then enter the imperial capital together. How about it? Qin Feiyang laughed. Lu Yinfeng and Dong Junyang looked at each other, clearly moved. Although they didn't spend much time with Qin Feiyang, and didn't know much about Qin Feiyang, compared to Emma Wuxian and Dong Junyang, it made them feel more at ease. Seeing this, Emma Wuxian's heart skipped a beat. If Lu Yinfeng and Pei Sanshi really changed sides at the last minute, It would be a disaster for him. He never thought that at this time, Qin Feiyang would still be able to come up with a plan to sow discord and directly destroy his little plan. He turned to look at Yin Tianfeng and shouted, "What are you doing? Who gave you the right to slap them in the face? Why aren't you apologizing to them?" Yin Tianfeng clenched his fists. His heart was full of unwillingness. But he also knew the consequences of Lu Yunfeng and Dong Jingyang's betrayal, so he could only put down his face and bow to the two. "I'm sorry, I was impulsive before. I hope you can forgive me." Emma Wuxian also laughed and said, "Lu Yunfeng, Pei Sanshi, we are the most outstanding people in Yunzhou. We carry a heavy burden on our shoulders. Please don't be bewitched by scoundrels." The two lowered their heads and remained silent. Emma Wuxian said, "If you still can't let it go, you can return it, I won't interfere." Yin Tianfeng said angrily, "Emma Wuxian, what do you mean? This is the consequence of your own actions, who's to blame?" Emma Wuxian sneered. "All right." Lu Yunfeng nodded, raised his head and looked at Yin Tianfeng, and said, "As long as you can obediently let us slap you a few times, we will let bygones be bygones." "You dare?" Yin Tianfeng shouted. "Then there's nothing I can do." Lu Yunfeng laughed coldly, turned around and looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, "All right, we." But before he could finish, Emma Wuxian's face suddenly changed. He stepped forward and covered Lu Yunfeng's mouth, and smiled apologetically. "I'll try to persuade you again." Following that, he looked at Yin Tianfeng and roared, "What exactly are you trying to do? Do you really want to die here?" Yin Tianfeng's gaze trembled. He looked at Qin Feiyang gloomily, looked at Lu Yunfeng, and said while gritting his teeth, "All right, I'll let you guys hit me." "Pa!" Just as Yin Tianfeng finished speaking, Pei Sanshi raised his arm and ruthlessly slapped Yin Tianfeng's face. A blood-red palm print immediately appeared. "You didn't expect this day to come, right?" Pei Sanshi sneered and slapped him again, causing half of Yin Tianfeng's face to swell up. Following that, Lu Yunfeng also slapped him twice. The other half of Yin Tianfeng's face also swelled up, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. At this moment, Yin Tianfeng was about to go crazy, like a wild beast that was about to go berserk. His eyes were completely red. The hatred in his heart towards Lu Yunfeng, Pei Sanshi, and Emma Wuxian was so intense that it could not be restrained. Similarly, there was also Qin Feiyang, because if not for Qin Feiyang fanning the flames, he would not have suffered such humiliation. However, Qin Feiyang was rather disappointed. Chapter 577. However, it was not without gains. At least, it bought enough time for Dong Jingyang and Ren Wushuang to escape. Now, it was impossible for Emma Wuxian and the rest to continue chasing after them. Qin Feiyang did not delay any longer. He smiled and said, "The four of you, it's a small world. We'll meet again next time." "Wait," Emma Wuxian hurriedly said. "Is there anything else?" Qin Feiyang asked. Emma Wuxian said in a deep voice, "Where's Pan Wuyan? Quickly hand her over to us." "Her?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He shook his head and said, "I don't know if she's dead or not, but I can return her to you." As he spoke, Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a bloody person appeared on the ground in front of him. It was Pan Wuyan. But at this moment, Pan Wuyan's aura was gone and her face was as pale as paper. She was clearly dead. "I'm sorry. My fat brother was too heavy-handed and accidentally killed her. You guys find a place to bury her. Goodbye." Qin Feiyang laughed mockingly. He waved at the four of them and disappeared without a trace in a flash. Looking at Pan Wuyan's cold corpse, the four of them had ugly expressions. Especially Yin Tianfeng. He had the best relationship with Pan Wuyan, and they had been partners for a long time. Now that Pan Wuyan was dead, he was alone. How could he compete with Emma Wuxian and Lu Yunfeng in the future? "Lu Yunfeng, Pei Sanshi, I know that I have no right to blame you for what happened today. After all, we used to bully you guys. It's normal for you guys to have resentment. But I still have to say that you guys are indeed in the wrong. You have to know that only the 5 of us came to the 9 nether yellow springs from Yunzhou. Any one of us is extremely important. But now Pan Wuyan died not long after we entered the death swamp. Only the 4 of us are left. To us this is not good news. So I hope that before we reach the other side, we can put down our grudges and stop killing each other. Mo Wuxian said in a painful tone. All right, we'll listen to you. But the condition is that you stop telling us what to do. Lu Yinfeng and the other two pondered for a moment before taking the lead to express their stance. Yin Tianfeng glanced at the three of them and snorted coldly. Do I have a choice now? Mo Wuxian said. Since we've reached an agreement, then let's bury her. After burying Pan Wuyan, Pei Sanshi frowned and asked, what about the strange flower under the pond? Forget it. Qin Feiyang won't give up. We can't beat him. In the future, let's not provoke him. Let's set out immediately and rush towards the depths of the swamp of death. We'll strive to be the first to arrive at the other side. Mo Wuxian said. Lu Yinfeng and the other two nodded. Comparing Qin Feiyang to the imperial capital, the imperial capital was obviously more important. Mo Wuxian said. There's no time to lose, let's go. Whoosh. The four of them disappeared into the forest in the blink of an eye. This place quickly fell into a deathly silence. Inside the castle, hearing the four's conversation, Qin Feiyang suddenly realized. He was wondering why Mo Wuxian and the others entered the death swamp so quickly, and even found a good place to ambush them. It turned out that only the 5 of them came to participate in the great battle of the 9 states. The people of the Cloud State were smart. They knew that those below the War Master realm could only be cannon fodder in the 9 underworlds, so they gave up. This way, Mo Wuxian and the others had an easier time. On the other hand, the people of the Spirit State rushed in. But what was the result? They didn't even know what the death swamp was like. They lost their lives for nothing. How stupid. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply and looked at Fatso. The situation of the great battle of the 9 states is far beyond my expectations. Before you break through to the War Master realm, don't go out again. Fatso nodded. Although he was usually timid, with his current strength, he definitely had the ability to dominate those below the War Master realm. For people like Wu Yan, even 10 of them together wouldn't be his opponent. But in the face of experts above the War Master realm, his strength was not enough. So, breaking through to the War Master realm became a top priority for Fatso. As for Wolf King, he had already broken through to the 9-star combat emperor. He was not far from breaking through to the War Master realm. The pangolin, Lu Hong, Luo Qianxue, and Lin Yi's strength had also improved greatly. But in the 9 underworlds, they obviously couldn't help Qin Feiyang. The only ones who could help him were Fatso and Wolf King. Just as Qin Feiyang was about to leave the castle, Lin Yi suddenly said, Brother Feiyang, didn't you say that you have a surprise for me? Surprise? Qin Feiyang was taken aback for a moment, then patted his forehead, shook his head and smiled. Look at me. I was so busy that I almost forgot about it. Wait a moment. After saying that, Qin Feiyang walked to the altar and opened the furnace to refine pills. In less than 10 breaths, a crimson fire-colored glass pill with 4 pill patterns came out of the furnace. Qin Feiyang grabbed the medicinal pill, walked to Lin Yi and smiled. Crimson fire-colored glass pill is different from Jiku yellow dragon pill. A crimson fire-colored glass pill with 4 pill patterns is enough for you to break through 5 small realms. 5 small realms? Lin Yi's gaze trembled. Sure enough, it was a great surprise. Qin Feiyang said, In fact, you don't have to think so much. I believe that I have the ability to protect you. Lin Yi took the medicinal pill, lowered her head and said, But I want to protect you and help you. Ugh. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Wolf King smiled and said, Little girl, it's not that I want to discourage you, but with your strength, you will never be able to help us. Lin Yi suddenly felt lost. No one will treat you as a mute if you don't talk. Qin Feiyang glared at Wolf King fiercely and looked at Lin Yi with a smile. Don't listen to its nonsense. I believe that you can protect me one day, but I am afraid that others will say that I rely on women behind my back. Puff. Lin Yi immediately laughed through her tears. Well, you guys cultivate. I will go out and see if I can get that strange flower. Qin Feiyang smiled, left the castle, and walked toward the pool. He always had a feeling in his heart that if he missed that strange flower, he would regret it for a lifetime. He was also familiar with that strange flower, but he couldn't remember its name for a while. After a while, he came to the pool, but when he saw the current pool, his heart skipped a beat. The previous battle not only caused serious damage to this land, but the pool was also unrecognizable at this moment. Qin Feiyang was worried that the strange flower would also be affected. Boom! He did not hesitate and jumped in directly. However, as soon as he jumped into the water, more than a dozen black demon locusts swarmed up and attached themselves to his body. He immediately felt that these disgusting bugs were crazily sucking his blood and desperately trying to burrow into his body. Anyone who encountered this situation would feel their scalp tingle. Qin Feiyang was no exception. He quickly climbed ashore and summoned the netherworld demonic flame. The terrifying high temperature suddenly shrouded all directions. More than a dozen black demon locusts suddenly left his body in panic and rushed toward the pool. Die! Qin Feiyang pointed his finger, and the red sword aura surged out, instantly tearing their flesh body apart. Coupled with the burning of the pill fire, they were quickly burned to ashes. Qin Feiyang looked at the dozens of bloody holes on his body, and he couldn't help but feel scared. Fortunately, he reacted in time. Otherwise, when the black demon locusts got into his body, he was equivalent to a delicious cake that they could only suck. Boom! Without hesitation, Qin Feiyang jumped into the pool again with the netherworld demonic flame. The netherworld demonic flame was in a half-awakened state. As soon as it entered the water, the temperature of the pool began to rise. Qin Feiyang was afraid that something would happen to the strange flower, so he quickly sank to the bottom. On the way, the black demon locusts he encountered did not dare to approach him, but they all followed behind him. A moment later, Qin Feiyang finally arrived at the bottom of the pool. The eerie white bones were a ghastly sight. Black demon locusts lay around the strange flower, and were very resistant to Qin Feiyang, an outsider. Qin Feiyang looked at the strange flower, and could not help but let out a long sigh of relief. Although the fluctuations of the battle before were very terrifying, but fortunately the pool was very deep, and did not affect the strange flower. Immediately, he held his breath, and gradually approached the strange flower. The netherworld demonic flame in his hand emitted a hot wave, and the black demon locusts around the strange flower were constantly forced to retreat. Seeing this situation, Qin Feiyang was very excited. If there was no accident, he would be able to smoothly obtain the strange flower. However, an accident just happened. When he was only 1 meter away from the strange flower, the black demon locusts that were forced to retreat were not afraid of the high temperature of the netherworld demonic flame, and once again surrounded the strange flower. Obviously, they swore to protect the strange flower even if they died. Qin Feiyang had to stop, and looked very angry. But from the side, it also showed that this strange flower was definitely not ordinary. What to do? Just as he was thinking of a way, suddenly 2 faint sounds came from above, as if something fell into the pool. Mo Wuxian, and the other 3 haven't given up yet? Qin Feiyang's heart trembled, and immediately looked up, his eyes full of vigilance. But as time passed, Qin Feiyang gradually felt that something was wrong. Now more than 300 breaths had passed. If it was really Mo Wuxian and the others, they must have reached the bottom of the pool. But now, no one came down, and he could only feel the water above moving. What was going on? Qin Feiyang frowned, but suddenly thought, could it be that someone was bathing above? If so, then it was definitely not Mo Wuxian and the others. But then again, this person was really careless. With the nether demonic flame, the temperature of the pool continued to rise, and it was easy to sense that something was wrong here. If it was him, he would definitely come down to check first. Maybe in this person's eyes, this was a natural hot spring. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang could not help but shake his head and laugh. At this time, he still had the mood to think about this. He lowered his head again, looking at the black demon locusts. Suddenly, he clenched his teeth, stretched out his left hand, and directly reached into the group of black demon locusts, and then grabbed the strange flower. Suddenly, a heart-wrenching pain came from his arm. He felt that at this moment, there were dozens of black demon locusts attached to his arm. But he did not care, and used force to pull out the strange flower, and quickly entered the ancient castle. The moment he entered the ancient castle, he took out the Chang Shui, and without any hesitation, slashed at his left shoulder. Poof! Immediately, his arm was cut off, and blood poured out like a waterfall. Bang! The broken left arm fell to the ground, and dozens of black demon locusts climbed out one after another, and immediately rushed towards the group. Seeing this, Lin Yi and Lu Hong suddenly turned pale. Chapter 578. Qin Feiyang shouted, "Fatso, I want to revive the nether devil flame. Quickly put away that strange flower." While speaking, he took a big stride and stood in front of Lin Yi and the others. He then took out the Chang Shui and kept waving it in the air. His waving movements were so fast that it was dazzling. But every time he waved, he could cut off a black demon locust. For a moment, blood splattered everywhere. In a few breaths, dozens of black demon locusts fell to the ground one after another, and were cut into several pieces. But they were still wriggling. This was a process of their rebirth. But this process was very short. If they were not dealt with in time, hundreds of black demon locusts would appear in this castle later. At that time, the castle would be occupied by these terrifying creatures, and there would be no place for them to stay. At the same time, Fatso stretched out his hand to grab the strange flower, but he retracted his arm in lightning speed and hid in a corner, as if he was running for his life. Because there were 3 black demon locusts entangled on the strange flower. "Look at you." Wolf King glared at Fatso disdainfully. Yes, this emperor has never seen such a timid person like you." The pangolin beast next to him echoed. However, looking at the 3 black demon locusts, they also hesitated. Qin Feiyang looked at these 3 beasts and couldn't help but feel annoyed. It seems that at the critical moment, he still had to step in. "Protect Yi and the others." Qin Feiyang shouted coldly, and the nether devil flame was fully revived. The terrifying high temperature suddenly filled every corner of the castle. Wolf King immediately condensed a battle chi barrier to protect Lin Yi and the others. Those black demon locusts that were cut off earlier were quickly burned to ashes under this high temperature. But the 3 black demon locusts entangled on the strange flower did not retreat at all. "You guys are quite brave." Qin Feiyang was afraid that the strange flower would also be burned by this high temperature, so he immediately rushed towards the strange flower. However, at this time, all of a sudden, the 3 black demon locusts dashed towards Qin Feiyang at lightning speed. Their targets were Qin Feiyang's eyes and ears. If the black demon locusts really got into his ears or eyes, his brain would probably be sucked dry by the black demon locusts. Just thinking about it made him shudder. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also noticed that the strange flower had withered, and was even emitting green smoke. It was obvious that it was about to burn. "Fatso, quick!" Qin Feiyang roared. Chang Shui streaked across the sky, and cut the 3 black demon locusts into pieces. Without the black demon locusts, Fatso was no longer afraid. He quickly pounced forward, grabbed the strange flower, and put it into his Qingquan bag. Very soon, the 3 black demon locusts were also burned to ashes by the nether devil flame. With a thought from Qin Feiyang, the high temperature of the netherworld demonic flame immediately receded like a receding tide. He immediately looked at Fatso and said, "Quickly let me see the strange flower." Fatso took out the strange flower. Qin Feiyang grabbed it in his hand, looked left and right, looked up and down, and finally let out a long sigh of relief. The water in the strange flower was gone, but its essence was still there, and it would not lose its medicinal efficacy. Lu Hong said at this time, "Qin Feiyang, can you throw your arm out first and watch it beat people up?" "Beat people up?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He looked down at the left arm that he had cut off, but saw that it was full of holes and blood was flowing out. It did look a little creepy. He had wanted to reattach it, but now he was not in the mood. He waved his hand and threw the arm out. Fatso said, "Boss, don't bring this kind of thing in next time. It's scary." "This time I support Fatso. Let's not talk about whether or not this thing will harm everyone. Merely your behavior is simply too dangerous. Have you ever thought about what if these things drill into your heart, your lower abdomen, or even your brain?" Wolf King said, "I had no choice." They surrounded the strange flower 3 times on the inside and 3 times on the outside. I could only take it by force. But I also calculated it in advance. At that time, I only put my arm in. If they want to drill, they can only drill into my arm. As long as I enter the castle in time and cut off my arm, they can't drill into other places. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Fine, we were worried for nothing. Wolf King rolled his eyes at him, then lay down on the side and closed his eyes to meditate. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly. He took out a regeneration pill and a healing pill and swallowed them, then looked down at the strange flower carefully. Fatso went up, his eyes shining, and said, Boss, think carefully. What kind of treasure is this? At the bottom of the lake, when Qin Feiyang snatched the strange flower, the black demon locusts immediately went crazy and rushed around at the bottom. When Qin Feiyang threw out his arm, they immediately swarmed up. In the blink of an eye, all the flesh and blood disappeared, leaving only a white bone. Then, the swarm of black demon locusts rushed up. At the same time, above the pool, 2 young women were playing in the water. Sister, it's so comfortable. I didn't expect there to be such a natural hot spring in this damned place. The only flaw is that the water temperature is a bit too high. You should be satisfied. It's already very lucky to find a water source here. After washing off the dirt on our bodies, we'll go down and look for it. Maybe there are some treasures. The 2 women were very beautiful. Their skin was delicate and had a charming luster. Their big eyes were as clear as a mirror. Their wet hair, as well as their bodies that were faintly discernible in the water, exuded a fatal temptation. And they looked exactly the same. Even their hair was light gold. But on the shore, there were 2 blood-stained white gauze dresses. This proved that the 2 women were not simple people. And on the dresses, there were 2 exquisite chinquan bags, as well as 2 sets of underwear that would make one's nose bleed. In other words, the 2 women were completely naked in the water. There's movement below. Suddenly, one of the women stopped playing, and her face became very serious. The other woman also floated on the water surface and listened carefully. Suddenly, her face changed and she shouted, Go ashore! Splash! The 2 women rushed to the shore with a splash. Then, they grabbed their respective chinquan bags and took out 2 sets of brand new dresses. Of course, they also had underwear and quickly put them on. Then, the 2 women stared at the water surface. Whoosh! In less than 3 breaths, a swarm of black demon locusts rushed out of the pool. When they saw the 2 women, they immediately rushed towards them. What? There's actually such disgusting things under the pool? The 2 women's faces changed, and they immediately turned to the side of the forest. At the same time, one of the women shouted, Men! Whoosh! Immediately, in the side of the forest, a dozen figures rushed out. They were all young men around 25 or 26 years old. They were also wearing white clothes. But on their chests, there was a small word embroidered. Empty. And their bodies were also stained with blood. Their hair was disheveled, and their faces were dirty. They looked quite miserable. A young man in white who rushed to the front asked, Shiwening Shiwerwa, what's wrong? There are black demon locusts in the pool. They're too much. They hid down there and peeped at us bathing. Quickly get rid of them. The 2 women said angrily. Black demon locusts. The young men looked towards the pool. When they saw the swarm of black demon locusts, their faces changed. But then, a row of black lines appeared on their foreheads. The black demon locusts did not have eyes at all. They only relied on smell to track their prey. How could they peep at them bathing? Moreover, they were just insects. Even if they peeped, it was nothing. Was there a need to make such a fuss? This pair of sisters really knew how to talk nonsense. But in their eyes, it was full of doting. The leading man frowned and said, Shiwening Shiwerwa, didn't I just tell you to check if there's any danger in the pool? Why did you only notice them now? We looked, but we didn't go to the bottom of the pool to check. We wanted to wait until we were clean before going down. But we didn't expect them to suddenly rush up. The 2 women said innocently. Hearing that, everyone was helpless. The leading man said, You guys, I don't know what to say. You guys are really careless. Yeah, if anything happens to you, how are we going to explain it to your parents? A young man next to him said helplessly. Okay, we know we're wrong. Can you guys go and kill them? The two blinked their charming eyes and looked at them pleadingly. The young men looked at each other. They all looked like they had a headache. The leading young man said, "Xuening Shuoro, these things are not to be trifled with. Since you've already washed up, why don't you leave this place quickly? Senior brother Fenghua is right. We shouldn't stay here for long. And look, there's a large area of damage near the pool. It means that there was a battle here not long ago. I think it's the people from the other 8 provinces. Although we're not afraid of them, it's not good for us to fight with them too early. Ladies, don't be stubborn. Let's go." The rest of the people also persuaded them. "Okay, we'll listen to you." The sisters hesitated for a while, but finally nodded in agreement. "Let's go." The leading young man waved his hand. The dozen of people immediately protected the sisters and rushed into the forest. But the black demon locusts chased after them, and more black demon locusts rushed out of the pool. Obviously, they thought that group of people were Qin Feiyang's accomplices. Dong! Just as the group of people entered the forest, a figure rushed out of the pool and landed on the shore. It was Qin Feiyang. The nether demonic flame in his hand was fully awakened. The area within a few hundred meters was suddenly turned into a burning furnace. What's going on? Seeing the black demon locusts rush into the forest, Qin Feiyang was a little stunned. When he looked over and saw the group of people in the forest, his eyes suddenly focused. This group of people's aura was very strong. Based on his initial judgment, half of them should be battle masters. There's someone? At the same time, the dozen of people who entered the forest all turned their heads to look at the pool. When they saw Qin Feiyang, they were also surprised. Where did he come from? No, he's covered in water. He should have come out of the pool. That means that when we were bathing, he was hiding under the water. He's a pervert. Chapter 579. Pervert. Qin Feiyang faintly heard the voices of the two girls, and could not help but feel puzzled. Whoosh! He did not have time to think, because when the black demon locusts saw him appear from the pool, they all turned around and rushed towards him. So troublesome. Qin Feiyang was quite annoyed. He turned around and used the phantom steps, and rushed into the forest without looking back. The direction he went was the direction Dong Jinyang escaped. He must be peeping at us bathing. You guys go and stop him. I'm going to dig out his eyeballs. Seeing Qin Feiyang leave, the sisters hurriedly shouted to the dozen young men beside them. Xuening Shuerua, don't worry. The leading young man comforted them, and looked at the others. Did you see the words on his chest? Everyone shook their heads. The distance was a little far, and coupled with the blood mist in the air, it was really difficult to see the words on his chest. Similarly, Qin Feiyang also did not see the words on their chests. The leading young man raised his head, and looked at the black demon locusts swarming towards Qin Feiyang. His eyes flashed and said, I think this person is not peeping at Xuening and Shuerua bathing. Someone asked, Then what is he doing in the pool? The leading young man said, I think he is looking for some treasure, and has already gotten it. Why do you think so? Someone next to him questioned. Did you see those black demon locusts? At first, they chased us crazily, but when this person appeared, they immediately gave up on us and chased after him. Think about it, what does this mean? The leading young man said. Everyone's eyes immediately lit up. If there was really a treasure, it must not be an ordinary treasure. Otherwise, the black demon locusts would not be so crazy. But we can't rule out the possibility that he is peeping at Xuening and Shuerua bathing. Let's chase after him. But remember, we can't be impulsive. Ask him first. The leading young man reminded. Everyone nodded. Let's go. So, under the lead of the young man called Fenghua, the group of more than a dozen people hid their aura, avoided the black demon locusts, and rushed through the forest, trying to intercept Qin Feiyang. In the meantime, as Qin Feiyang sped along, he carefully observed his surroundings. With Dong Jinyang's intelligence, he would definitely have left behind some clues during his escape, so that it would be easier for him to find them. True enough. Soon Qin Feiyang found an arrowhead symbol on one of the tree trunks. The arrow pointed to the northwest. He waved his hand, and released a stream of battle chi to destroy the arrowhead symbol. Then he rushed towards the northwest. The black demon locusts at the back were like a swarm of locusts. Wherever they passed, the grass and trees were blown away, leaving behind a mess. However, although they were terrifying, their speed was much slower than Qin Feiyang's, so the distance between them was getting further and further. He changed his direction. Should we continue chasing him? In the meantime, Fire Beacon's group stopped on a small hill and looked at Qin Feiyang from afar. Of course, he's alone. What's there to be afraid of? Also, we don't have to be so secretive, the pair of sisters said in dissatisfaction. The young man called Fire Beacon lowered his head and muttered to himself for a while, then nodded. Xue Ning and Xue Ruo are right. I am the one who worries too much. There is indeed no need to hide. Next, Fire Beacon looked at Qin Feiyang and shouted, "Friend, please wait." Then, the group of people chased after Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang, who was searching for the mark, stopped and turned to look at the group of people, his eyebrows slightly raised. From his tone, he didn't seem to have any ill intentions. But in this place, it was obvious that he couldn't just look at the surface. Moreover, this group of people's cultivation was stronger than his, so he had to be on guard. He turned around and scanned the front. In front of him was still a dense forest. However, not far ahead, there was a small valley. Whiz! He activated phantom steps and rushed towards the small valley. After a dozen breaths of time, Qin Feiyang arrived at the entrance of the small valley, but Fire Beacon and the others were not far from the small valley, because their speed was much faster than Qin Feiyang's by a large margin. As for those black demon locusts, they had already completely shaken them off. Qin Feiyang turned his head and glanced at those people. A light flashed in his eyes, and he entered the valley without hesitation. The valley was not big, and weeds were growing everywhere. Qin Feiyang hurriedly looked around, and on the left side of the mountain, he found a dark cave. Judging from its ancient appearance, the cave had existed for a very long time. However, the valley was halfway up the mountain, and it was impossible to fly now. It was obviously too late to climb up, because the footsteps had already arrived at the entrance of the valley. Shua! Qin Feiyang flashed and entered the castle. The moment he entered the castle, Fire Beacon and the others strode into the valley. They stood in the grass and scanned their surroundings. One of them lowered his head to look at the ground and discovered a row of footprints. These should be his footprints. Then why don't we see him? Could it be that he's hiding in the cave above? The pair of sisters looked at the cave halfway up the mountain, their eyes filled with doubt. It shouldn't be. If he really went to the cave, in such a hurry, he would definitely leave behind traces of climbing. But from what I can see, there's nothing. Unless he can fly. Fire Beacon said. Fly. Everyone shook their heads. In this place, flying was simply an extravagant hope. Fire Beacon looked at the cave with a trace of doubt in his eyes. Why was there a cave here? Could it be left behind by a senior who had participated in the Great War of the 9 States? Thinking of this, he looked at a young man beside him and said, "Feng Wuxia, go inside the cave and take a look. Be careful." Okay. Feng Wuxia nodded and walked to the bottom of the cave. Like an ape, he quickly climbed to the entrance of the cave. Be careful. Fire Beacon warned again. Don't worry. Feng Wuxia grinned, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. This person was like his name, a very evil young man. He was about 185 meters tall, and his face was as sharp as a knife. He could be called a handsome man. His eyes were especially beautiful, like 2 black gems, and they were unruly. Feng Wuxia smiled at Fire Beacon and the others, then turned around and strode into the cave. Boom! But in less than 5 breaths, a loud sound came from the cave. The entire valley shook violently. What's going on? Everyone in the valley was shocked. Fire Beacon said, Don't panic. Feng Wuxia's strength is unfathomable. Even I am not confident that I can defeat him. Even if he encounters any danger, he can escape unscathed. Indeed. Before he finished speaking, Feng Wuxia exited the cave and landed steadily beside Fire Beacon. Fire Beacon asked, What's inside? A person. Feng Wuxia looked at the cave with an evil smile and said, Sir, is it necessary to continue hiding? Tap, tap. Along with a series of steady footsteps, A young man walked out of the cave and stood at the entrance. He looked down at Feng Wuxia and the others. This person was about 1.8 meters tall and was quite muscular. His thick black hair reached his shoulders, and his eyes were like stars. He gave off a wild aura. Fire Beacon sized up this person. When he saw the words on the person's chest, his pupils shrank. He cupped his hands and smiled. So it's a friend from the spiritual state. Spiritual state? Inside the castle, Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. Who was hiding in the cave? At the same time, the person standing in the cave also looked at the chest of Fire Beacon and the others and frowned. You are from the Kong state? This voice, it's Dong Xingyang. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He didn't expect Dong Xingyang to be hiding in the cave. What a coincidence. Facing Dong Xingyang's question, Fire Beacon nodded and smiled. That's right. May I know your name? Dong Xingyang said lightly. We just met by chance. Is there a need to know my name? Fire Beacon was speechless. Yes, there is no need to know your name. But you sneak attacked me. So I must return the favor. Come down and fight with me. Feng Wuxia chuckled with an evil aura. Not interested. Dong Xingyang glanced at him lightly and turned to walk into the cave. That's not up to you. Feng Wuxia pointed in the air, and a fiery red battle chi appeared and blasted toward the cave like a tide. What? You want to bully me with your numbers? Dong Xingyang suddenly turned around. His gaze was as sharp as a blade, extremely sharp. Feng Wuxia smiled. Don't worry. I don't need their help to deal with you. I alone am enough. Arrogant. Dong Xingyang harumphed coldly and waved his hand. His battle chi surged out and collided with Feng Wuxia's battle chi. Boom. In the valley, the wind howled and the ground trembled. The mountains around the valley began to collapse. Not bad. Feng Wuxia smiled sinisterly. However, Dong Xingyang did not continue to entangle with him. When he saw the mountains collapsing, he immediately turned and rushed into the cave. Not long after, inside the cave, another deafening sound rang out. The entire mountain collapsed instantly and turned into ruins with dust filling the sky. Swoosh. All of a sudden, a stream of light shot out from the dust. It was Dong Xingyang. However, at this moment, he rushed out of the dust with one person in each hand and fled into the forest. No wonder you don't dare to fight with me. It turns out that you have severely injured and unconscious companions. However, shouldn't you ask for my opinion before leaving? Feng Wuxia chuckled and chased after Dong Xingyang. His speed was not slower than Dong Xingyang's. Feng Hua and the others followed behind Feng Wuxia. Severely injured companions? Inside the ancient castle, Qin Feiyong's heart skipped a beat. It had been so long, but Shen Long and Feng Wuxia had not woken up. It seemed that their injuries were more serious than he had imagined. He could not continue to hide, or the three of them would be in grave danger. Swoosh. He left the ancient castle without hesitation. Looking at the ruins in front of him, he raised his eyebrows. Then, he looked up and saw the group of people from the Kong state. However, Dong Xingyang had already disappeared into the forest. Who was talking just now? Do we need your opinion on whether the people of the spiritual state stay or leave? Who do you think you are? He said calmly, but his eyes were cold. Huh. Feng Hua and the others immediately stopped and turned to look at Qin Feiyong. It's him. At the same time dash. Chapter 580. At the same time, Feng Wuxia turned around and walked to Feng Hua. He looked at Qin Feiyong from afar and teased. I was the one who spoke just now. Are you not convinced? So arrogant? Qin Feiyong was stunned and laughed. You guys are so strong. How could I not be convinced? Is that so? Feng Wuxia's lips curled up and said playfully. But why do I feel like you're provoking me? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. If you think I'm provoking you, then I'm provoking you. Feng Wuxia was stunned. Feng Hua and the others were also shocked. Judging from his aura, he was only an 8-star combat emperor. How could he be so confident? At this moment, Dong Xingyang walked around and came to Qin Feiyong's side. Seeing this, Feng Wuxia suddenly realized and said, So you're just stalling for time? That's right. Qin Feiyong nodded and smiled. Obviously, I've achieved my goal. Feng Wuxia smiled disapprovingly and said, Do you think you can escape from so many of us? Don't be too confident. Now I'll teach you a lesson. No matter how strong you are, there will always be someone stronger. I'll play with you guys when I'm free. Qin Feiyong smiled mockingly and disappeared with Dong Junyang and the other two. Feng Wuxia raised his eyebrows and immediately looked around. However, there was no one in sight. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. Feng Hui said, "It seems like we've underestimated him." Feng Wuxia's eyes turned cold, but then he smiled evilly. "It's okay. We'll meet him sooner or later. We'll settle the score then. Then we'll forget about him peeping on us bathing?" Feng Wuxia, you guys are too unreliable. If I knew, I wouldn't have let you guys come. The sisters snorted. The two of them were stunned and looked at each other helplessly. Inside the ancient castle, Dong Junyang placed Shen Long and his wife flat on the ground. He got up and looked at Qin Feiyong strangely. "You still have the time to peek at others bathing?" Qin Feiyong's face twitched. He shook his head and said, "No such thing." "No." Dong Junyang stared blankly for a moment, then said with disdain, "You dare to do it, but you don't dare to admit it. This is not the Qin Feiyong I know." "I really didn't." Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. Dong Junyang was puzzled. "If that's the case, why would those two women say that?" "I think it might be because of that. At that time, when I was at the bottom of the lake, trying to find a way to pluck that strange flower, I sensed that someone was bathing on it. At first, I didn't know who it was, so I didn't pay much attention to it. Now that I think about it, the people who were bathing might be those two women. Then, when they saw me coming out of the pool, they probably thought that I was a peeping Tom." Qin Feiyong guessed. Dong Junyang said suspiciously, "So you really didn't peep?" "Forget it if you don't believe me." Qin Feiyong was too lazy to explain. He glanced at Shen Long and Dong Junyang and asked, "How are they?" "Not good. Although they're not dead, their sea of qi is broken. Unless there's a divine elixir, there's no way to save them." Dong Junyang sighed. "So it's because their sea of qi is broken." Qin Feiyong muttered and breathed a sigh of relief. But seeing his attitude, Dong Junyang suddenly became angry and said, "What do you mean?" "I have a way to save them." Qin Feiyong smiled, walked to the altar, and opened a jade box. A majestic life force suddenly surged out. "What kind of elixir fire is this?" Dong Junyang was surprised. Inside the jade box lay a cluster of green flames, which was the fire of life. The form of the fire of life was very similar to that of elixir fire, so Dong Junyang mistook it for elixir fire. Qin Feiyong did not explain. He took out the fire of life and placed it above Shen Long and Dong Junyang. The vigorous life force immediately surrounded the two and seeped into their bodies through their pores, surging into their sea of qi. Qin Feiyong also sank his consciousness into their sea of qi. He found that the damage to their sea of qi was not very serious. There was only a small crack, which he believed would be repaired soon. "What kind of treasure is this?" Dong Junyang was also observing their sea of qi. When he saw that the life force could really repair the crack in their sea of qi, he was shocked. Qin Feiyong withdrew his consciousness and said, "Let them rest here. We'll go find the others." "Okay." Dong Junyang nodded. Qin Feiyong listened carefully for a moment. When he did not hear anything outside, he brought Dong Junyang outside. Feng Wuxia and the others had already disappeared. Dong Junyang glanced around and frowned. "This 9 nether yellow springs is boundless. Where are we going to find them?" Qin Feiyong said. Ren Wushuang said that he would leave a mark on the way, so we have to go back to the pool and start from the beginning. "Then let's go." The two turned and rushed towards the pool. Dong Junyang said, "By the way, how did you get rid of Mo Wuxian and the others?" "It's quite funny." Qin Feiyong gave a detailed account of the situation back then. Haha. After Dong Junyang heard this, he could not help but laugh. This Yin Tianfeng was really silly to the point of being cute. Boom. Crack. But at this moment, a loud sound came from the forest in the distance. "What's going on?" Dong Junyang stopped laughing and looked up, his eyes full of surprise. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, "Let's go and take a look." Whoosh. The two immediately turned around and rushed towards the place where the loud sound came from. Very soon, the two sensed a strong battle fluctuation. Obviously, someone was fighting over there. As they got closer, the battle fluctuation became more obvious. Suddenly, Dong Jungyang frowned and said, "Don't you feel that this aura is a little familiar?" Qin Feiyang carefully sensed for a while, and a light flashed in his eyes as he sneered. "It's them. That's right, it's them." Dong Jungyang also nodded, his face full of coldness. More than 10 breaths later, the two of them climbed up a short mountain that was several hundred feet high. They stood in the thick grass and looked ahead, more than 200 meters in front of them. At this moment, the mountains were collapsing, and the grass and trees were flying everywhere. Waves of intense battle ripples transformed into formless waves that swept out in all directions. There were a total of 3 people fighting, and they were all people that Qin Feiyang and Dong Jungyang knew. One of them was Feng Wuxia that they had met before. The other 2 were even more familiar. They were Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. How did they meet? Dong Jungyang frowned. Qin Feiyang remained silent, his gaze firmly locked onto Feng Wuxia. Although Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong's character was not good, their strength was not to be underestimated. However, at this moment, Feng Wuxia was actually fighting 1 against 2, and was not at a disadvantage. He turned his gaze, and looked at the other side of the battlefield. The sisters and the others all stood there watching, without the slightest intention of going up to help. Qin Feiyang could see that these people did not help, not because they were cold, nor because they wanted Feng Wuxia to die, but because they were completely confident in Feng Wuxia. Dong Jungyang also looked at Feng Hua and the others, and said in a low voice, "The Kong region's strength is very terrifying." Indeed. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, "Can you see through all of their cultivations?" "No." Dong Jungyang shook his head. "What?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. Even Dong Jungyang, who was a 1-star battle sect, could not see through them. Could it be that the Kong region had a 2-star battle sect? According to my observation, they have a total of 6 1-star battle sect and 10 9-star battle emperors. The person fighting with Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong is a 1-star battle sect. Dong Jungyang said. Qin Feiyang's mind trembled. This lineup was enough to instantly kill their spirit state. He asked again, "Then whose cultivation can you not see through?" Dong Jungyang's gaze turned and locked onto the twin sisters and said, "It's them." Them? Qin Feiyang was stunned. If it was the young man in the lead, he would believe it. But these twin sisters, no matter how he looked at them, they didn't look like experts? "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "I'm sure." Dong Jungyang nodded. Qin Feiyang's gaze focused. It seemed that he had to pay more attention to these twin sisters in the future. Boom! At this time, Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong had a huge collision with Feng Wuxia. At the same time, they spat out a mouthful of blood, and their faces were somewhat pale. Dongfang Wuhan retreated a few steps, stared at Feng Wuxia gloomily and said, "How did we offend you?" Feng Wuxia wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said with an evil smile, "You didn't offend me. Since you didn't, then why did you fight the moment you met?" Dongfang Wuhan was furious. "You didn't offend me, but someone in your spirit state did. Do you know these 2 people?" Feng Wuxia waved his hand, and battle chi surged out, condensing into 2 shadows in the air. Seeing the 2 shadows, Qin Feiyang and Dong Jungyang, who were standing on the short mountain, immediately frowned. Because this was their illusory image, Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong couldn't help but frown when they saw their shadows. Dongfang Wuhan looked at Feng Wuxia and nodded. "We know them. One of them is called Qin Feiyang, and the other is called Dong Jungyang." "Which one is Qin Feiyang?" As soon as they heard the 3 words Qin Feiyang, the sisters became spirited. The eyes of the others also changed at this moment. Dongfang Wuhan looked at the expressions of these people and asked suspiciously, "Do you know Qin Feiyang?" "No, but we have all heard of his rumors. It is said that he is not only an alchemy genius, but also a cultivation monster. The Lord even told us that when we came to the 9 nether underworld, the first person to pay attention to is him. So we all want to meet him." Feng Hua laughed. Dong Jungyang shook his head and said, "I didn't expect your name to have already spread to the Kong state. It's really amazing." Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. He also didn't expect that his name would spread so far. Not only did the Cloud state know, but even the Kong state knew. Did the other major states also know? However, when Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong heard Feng Hua's words, they couldn't help but feel jealousy and hatred in their hearts. On what basis? They were the kings of the spirit state's inner palace, and the ones who should be paid attention to should be them. But now no one knew their names, but they all knew the name of Qin Feiyang. They felt extremely unbalanced in their hearts. Chapter 581. I'm asking you, which one of you is Qin Feiyang? The twin sisters looked at Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong without worry. The two of them were already very unbalanced in their hearts. At this moment, when they saw the slight contempt in the twin sisters' eyes, they immediately burned with anger. Dongfang Wuhan pointed at Qin Feiyang's shadow and said coldly, "He is Qin Feiyang. So it's this pervert. This is outrageous. Don't let this young lady catch you, or I'll teach you a lesson." The twin sisters glared at him and said fiercely, "Pervert?" Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong looked at each other, with a trace of suspicion in their eyes. What was going on? Didn't Qin Feiyang never have any interest in women? How could he suddenly become a pervert? However, this was a good thing. Dongfang Wuhan frowned and said, "Since they offended you, you should go and settle the score with them. Why are you looking for us? Who told you to be their accomplices? Now I'll give you a chance to live. Take us to them immediately." The twin sisters said. Morong Xiong said in a deep voice, "We don't know where they are." "That's right. As soon as we entered the death swamp, we parted ways. We also want to know." Dongfang Wuhan said. "You don't know? Then aren't you useless? Feng Wuxia, do as you see fit." The twin sisters smiled. "Leave it to me." Feng Wuxia smiled evilly and walked towards the two step by step. "Do you think I'm really afraid of you?" Morong Xiong could no longer bear it. But just as he was about to kill Feng Wuxia, Dongfang Wuhan stopped him. "What? You still want to endure it?" Morong Xiong said angrily. "Don't be impatient." Dongfang Wuhan secretly transmitted his voice, then looked at Feng Wuxia and the others and said with a smile, "Actually, we can cooperate." And everyone was stunned. Dongfang Wuhan said, "To tell you the truth, we also have a deep grudge with Qin Feiyang." Feng Wuxia said, "Tell me about it." "Originally, the mansion master appointed me as the captain in this 9 regions war. But he instigated the others to repeatedly go against me. Furthermore, he has the face of a vile character. On the way to the death swamp, he tried his best to please the granddaughter of the manor lord. The manor head's granddaughter is rather naive, so she is easily bewitched by him. She often helps him reprimand us. This is the main reason why we parted ways. There's one more thing. He is very arrogant. He is only an 8-star combat emperor, but he always acts as if he is the most important person in the world. Even when the Great War of the 9 states began, he publicly declared that the people from the other states would be his stepping stones to enter the imperial capital." Dongfang Wuhan said. Hearing this, Feng Wuxia and the others frowned. Seeing this, Dongfang Wuhan struck while the iron was hot and said with a smile, "As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We can definitely join hands to deal with him." Feng Wuxia looked at Feng Hua. Feng Hua frowned and lowered his head to ponder. "This is too much. I've never seen such a despicable and shameless person." On top of the short mountain, Dong Jungyang clenched his fists as he stared at Dongfang Wuhan. His eyes were burning with rage. On the other hand, Qin Feiyang's expression was unexpectedly calm, as if he didn't take it to heart at all. Seeing this, Dong Jungyang frowned and said, "You're not angry at all?" Qin Feiyang laughed and said, "It's not worth getting angry over such a person. You're really open-minded." Dong Jungyang shook his head, but in his heart, he was more and more fearful of Qin Feiyang, because in the face of such a thing, if it was anyone else, it would be impossible for them to remain calm. But Qin Feiyang acted as if he didn't hear it at all. Such a terrifying temperament was unique in the world. This was. Feng Hua finally raised his head, looked at Dongfang Wuhan and nodded. "All right, we'll cooperate, but I have a condition." Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong looked at each other and smiled. Then, Dongfang Wuhan looked at Feng Hua and laughed. "There's no harm in saying it." Feng Hua retreated to the side, pointed at the sisters and said, "During our cooperation, You must unconditionally listen to their orders. The two of them looked at the sisters, their eyes filled with bewilderment. Feng Hui said, "If you can't do it, then there's no need for us to cooperate. Wait. We are, after all, the kings of the spiritual state's inner palace. Don't you think it's too much for us to listen to the orders of two women?" Morong Xiong said angrily. "You are still the kings of the spiritual state's inner palace?" Feng Wuxia was surprised. "That's right." Morong Xiong smiled proudly. Feng Wuxia raised the corner of his mouth again and said with an evil smile, "Is the king amazing?" Morong Xiong was stunned. His gaze suddenly darkened and said, "What do you mean?" "Nothing. I just want to say, it's just a war master. What's there to be proud of? You have to be clear. It's you who are shamelessly asking to cooperate with us, not us asking you to cooperate." Feng Wuxia laughed. "TSK, TSK, TSK. What a slap in the face. Qin Feiyang, believe it or not, Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong will definitely cooperate with the people of the Kong state." Dong Jungyang laughed gloatingly. "I don't think so. People with a little bit of dignity will choose to leave immediately." Qin Feiyang said. Dong Jungyang said, "Then how about we make a bet?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked, "What bet?" Dong Jungyang said, "If I lose, I won't take revenge on you in the future. But if you lose, you have to agree to one of my requests." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded without hesitation. Although Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong were a bit despicable, as the kings of the spiritual state's inner palace, he didn't believe that they would be so spineless. At this moment, Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong's faces were extremely gloomy. However, in the end, Dongfang Wuhan smiled and said, "Okay, as you wish, we will listen unconditionally." "That's right." Feng Wuxia chuckled. Qin Feiyang, on the other hand, was dumbfounded. At the same time, Morong Xiong also raised his eyebrows and shouted, "Dongfang Wuhan, are you crazy? Don't talk so much, I have my own plans." Dongfang Wuhan secretly said and stretched out his hand to Feng Wuxia, smiling. "Happy cooperation." But Feng Wuxia's face was full of disdain, and he had no intention of shaking hands with him. Dongfang Wuhan resentfully retracted his arm and asked, "Do you have any plans?" "Yes. Go find Qin Feiyang now and trick him to come here," Feng Wuxia said. Dongfang Wuhan frowned. "But we really don't know where they are now. The image crystal can't send messages, and the death swamp is so big. Finding them is harder than ascending to the sky." Feng Wuxia said, "Whether you can find them or not is your business. Anyway, I will only give you 3 days." "Okay, we will try our best." Dongfang Wuhan nodded and turned to look at Morong Xiong. "Let's go." Morong Xiong frowned and followed behind Dongfang Wuhan, quickly disappearing into the forest. Dong Jungyang retracted his gaze and said proudly, "Qin Feiyang, what do you think?" "Sigh." Qin Feiyang sighed deeply and said helplessly, "Say it, what is your request?" "I haven't thought about it yet. I will owe you. Of course, you can rest assured that I will not ask you to commit suicide or do anything to harm your friends." Dong Jungyang said. Qin Feiyang smiled. "I have my principles. Even if you ask me, I will not do it." Dong Jungyang smiled and asked, "What are your plans next?" Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, "Although Dongfang Wuhan chose to continue cooperating with them, I feel that he is planning something. So we might as well leave some clues and let them find us." Dong Jungyang frowned. "Isn't this too risky?" Qin Feiyang laughed. "Don't worry, I have a way to deal with the people of Kong province." "All right, we'll do as you say." Dong Jungyang nodded, although he didn't know what method Qin Feiyang would use. With Qin Feiyang's usual character, since he dared to make such a boast, he must be confident. Subsequently, the two of them quietly retreated and rushed towards the pool. Soon, they came to the forest near the pool. After searching for a moment, the two of them found a word on a stone. "Qin." There was also an arrow symbol next to it, pointing to the south. Dong Jungyang asked, "Could this be the symbol left behind by Ren Wushuang?" "It's very possible." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Then let's go," Dong Jungyang said. "Wait a minute." Qin Feiyang took out the Chang Shui and engraved the 2 words Feiyang below Qin, which added up to his complete name. Seeing this, Dong Jungyang frowned. "What are you doing?" Qin Feiyang laughed. If I don't do this, can Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong find us? Dong Jungyang felt helpless. It seemed that this guy was determined to fight with Dongfang Wuhan and Morong Xiong to the end. Whoosh! Then, the two of them rushed in the direction indicated by the arrow. Not long after, they found the same symbol on the trunk of a big tree. The two of them were basically sure that this was left behind by Ren Wushuang. Half an hour later, they followed the mark and came to a mountain ridge. There was also a mark on the stone next to it, pointing to the top of the mountain ridge. When Qin Feiyang engraved the two words Feiyang next to the mark, he and Dong Jungyang climbed up. But when they climbed halfway up the mountain, the two of them looked at each other with a trace of surprise in their eyes. They smelled a faint smell of blood in the air. It was enough to show that there was a massacre nearby. Whoosh! The two of them rushed up the mountain ridge, stood at a commanding height, and looked down. Immediately, the two of them suddenly changed color. Below, there was a lake of about 1,000 feet, and there were obvious traces of battle around it. And on the grass on the left side of the lake, a group of people gathered. There were men and women in this group, and they all looked young with outstanding temperament. Moreover, the aura they exuded was also very strong. But this was not the point. The point was that there were more than 20 people not far from this group of people. They sat back to back. Their clothes were ragged, their bodies were stained with blood, and their eyes were filled with despair and helplessness. These people were all familiar faces: Qin Feiyang and Dong Jungyang. There was Ren Wushuang, Lu Xingchen, Shenmei Wuyan Suyang, and so on. And there were many corpses lying nearby. Obviously, Ren Wushuang and the others were in trouble. How could this be? Dong Jungyang looked at this scene, his eyes full of disbelief. Crack! Suddenly, a crisp sound entered his ears. Dong Jungyang turned to look and was shocked. At this moment, Qin Feiyang clenched his fists, his eyes were red, and his body was surrounded by a murderous aura. Dong Jungyang hurriedly reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyang's shoulder, saying, I know that seeing Ren Wushuang injured makes you feel very sad, but you must calm down now. They knew nothing about the other party's background and identity. If they rushed down rashly, not only would they not be able to save everyone, but they would also die. Don't worry, I haven't lost my mind. But these people will all die today. You stay here and monitor them. I'll go to the castle. Let me know if anything happens. I can hear your voice. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he instantly disappeared without a trace. Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, Dong Jungyang's heart trembled, and he became more and more surprised. What was the relationship between this person and Ren Wushuang? Inside the castle. Boss, what happened? Did someone hurt Ren Wushuang? As soon as Qin Feiyang appeared, Fatso and Wolf King surrounded him, their eyes flashing with cold light. Ren Wushuang was not only important to Qin Feiyang, but also to them, because along the way, Ren Wushuang had helped them too much. In their eyes, Ren Wushuang was their sister. Prepare for battle. Qin Feiyang did not say much, only said these 4 words, and then sank his mind into Shen Long and Jiang Wei's Qi Si. There was still a little crack in their Qi Si that had not been repaired. He believed that they would wake up soon. Fatso was puzzled. Why are you looking at them? Qin Feiyang said. Our strength alone is not enough. We need to nurture a few more war masters. So you plan to nurture them? Fatso frowned. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's right. Their character is hundreds of times better than Dongfang Wuhan's. They are completely worth nurturing. Fatso and Wolf King looked at each other, with a trace of schadenfreude in their eyes. Those people were really blind. They actually dared to bully Ren Wushuang. Wasn't this courting death? Although no one in their small team had broken through to the War Master realm, as long as Qin Feiyang was willing, he could nurture a large number of them at any time. Time passed breath by breath. Qin Feiyang also refined 3 9-chew yellow dragon pills. Fatso and Wolf King were a little puzzled. Who was the extra one prepared for? But they didn't ask. They believed in Qin Feiyang's judgment. At the same time, 2 figures were lurking in the forest below the mountain ridge. It was Dongfang Wuhan and Murong Xiong. They had followed the mark left behind by Qin Feiyang to this place. Murong Xiong swept his gaze across the mountain ridge, and suddenly locked onto a stone, saying, Look, there's also a mark there. They should have gone up. Let's go. With a wave of Dongfang Wuhan's hand, the two of them quietly ran up. There's the smell of blood. Could it be that they encountered some strong enemy? Halfway up the mountain, the two of them also smelled the smell of blood, and couldn't help but be surprised. When they reached a certain vantage point at the top of the mountain, the two of them looked down, and their pupils immediately shrank. The vantage point they were at was adjacent to the vantage point Dong Junyang was at, but due to the lush vegetation and the fact that they were all hiding their auras, they didn't discover each other. Morong Xiong whispered, "Who are they? They actually imprisoned Ren Wushuang and the others." "How would I know?" Dongfang Wuhan muttered, then turned his gaze and scanned the forest around the lake. Morong Xiong was puzzled. "What are you looking at?" "I'm looking for Dong Junyang and Qin Feiyang," Dongfang Wuhan said. Morong Xiong said, "I don't think they've arrived yet. Otherwise, seeing Ren Wushuang and the others trapped, they would have already started fighting." "That makes sense." Dongfang Wuhan nodded. After pondering for a moment, he said in a deep voice, "Qin Feiyang will appear sooner or later. You immediately inform the people of Kong province to gather here." "Are you really going to help them? Do you know that if you do this, when we leave the 9 Nether Yellow Springs and return to the inner hall, the mansion master will definitely not let us go?" Morong Xiong frowned. "Don't worry, I know what to do." Dongfang Wuhan's eyes flashed. Morong Xiong looked at him deeply and nodded. "Okay, I'll believe you this time." Chapter 582. After Morong Xiong left, Dongfang Wuhan looked down at Ren Wushuang and the others, his eyes flashing with an inexplicable light. Half an hour passed quickly. Shenlong and Jiang Wei finally woke up. The moment they opened their eyes, both of them looked confused. Qin Feiyang smiled. "You're finally awake." The two looked at Qin Feiyang and couldn't help but be stunned. Qin Feiyang walked up, grabbed the fire of life, and put it into the jade box on the altar. He turned to look at the two and said, "You are now in my castle, and I am the one who saved you." "This is the castle?" The two got up and looked around in surprise. Qin Feiyang said, "There's no time to talk nonsense now, because Ren Wushuang and the others are imprisoned. We have to save them." "Who imprisoned them?" The two's faces changed. "I don't know yet." Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "But according to my observation, excluding us, there are only 20 people left in our spiritual state." "What?" The two of them looked miserable. There were 550 people, and only 20 people were left. How were they going to go on? Suddenly, Shenlong quivered and hurriedly asked, "Where's Shin Mei? Is she still alive?" "She's still alive." Qin Feiyang nodded. "That's good." Shenlong breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyang was suspicious. What was going on? Shenlong sighed. "To tell you the truth, Shin Mei is my cousin." "Cousin?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. There was such a thing. "Actually, my relationship with her has never been good. Because since we were young, Grandpa has always spoiled her and listened to her in everything. But to me, he rarely said a word of concern, and always had a very strict attitude. So I was very jealous of her. Even last time, when I learned that she was bullied by Lu Xingqian, I felt happy in my heart. But after this life and death tribulation, I've thought it through. Humans should live happily. After all, no one knows how long you can live." Shenlong sighed. "I see." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. "You're a man, yet you're jealous of your younger sister. Aren't you embarrassed?" Wolf King interjected from the side, his eyes full of disdain. Shenlong felt bitter in his heart. He nodded and said, "You are right. The past me was indeed not like a man. Don't listen to its nonsense. I've seen old Master Shin before. He's an upright person who can distinguish between kindness and hatred. I believe he won't side with anyone. It's because we men and women are naturally incomparable. Men need to be sharpened from a young age. There's a saying that goes, if a jade isn't cut, it won't amount to anything. As for women, they are born to be loved." Qin Feiyang smiled. "If a jade isn't cut, it won't amount to anything." Shenlong thought about this sentence, and suddenly his gaze trembled. He cupped his hands and said, "Brother Qin's words have enlightened me. I was really too ignorant in the past. I hope Brother Qin can help save my cousin." Qin Feiyang said, "You'll have to save her yourself. I'll go. Shenlong was slightly startled and frowned. Can I do it with my little strength? Sure. Qin Feiyang took out 2 9-chew yellow dragon pills from his bosom and handed them to Shenlong and Jiang Wei, saying, I specially prepared these for you. What pill? The two of them looked at each other, their eyes filled with bewilderment. Qin Feiyang said, The reason why Dong Xingyang was able to step into the War Master so quickly is because of this pill. The two of them trembled, and their eyes lit up. Shenlong asked, Why are you giving it to us? Jiang Wei also had a face full of bewilderment. According to Qin Feiyang's personality, he definitely wouldn't give such a precious pill to others. If I have to give a reason, it's because you guys risked your lives to protect Ren Wushuang, and the others, to defend the dignity of the spiritual state. It touched me, Qin Feiyang said. Thank you, Brother Qin. The two of them bowed and thanked him. Next, without hesitation, they each grabbed a 9-chew yellow dragon pill and put it into their mouths. The pill melted as soon as it entered their mouths. A majestic energy flowed to their limbs and bones. They could clearly feel that both their bodies and their minds were undergoing a transformation. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and took out a pile of battle chi pills, saying, Go into seclusion immediately. It won't be long before you guys break through. All right. The two of them sat cross-legged beside the pile of battle chi pills and began to meditate. Qin Feiyang looked at Fatso and said, I'll go out with White-Eyed Wolf to scout out the other party's situation. You have to be prepared for battle at any time. Fatso nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and brought Wolf King to Dong Xingyang's side. He looked down. The group of people were still gathered on the grass by the lake. Some were washing the dirt off their bodies by the lake. Some were sitting cross-legged to recuperate. Some had set up a bonfire, roasted meat, and were eating heartily. These damn bastards. When Wolf King saw Ren Wushuang, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Don't worry. Soon they will pay the price. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly, turned to look at Dong Xingyang, and asked, Did you find any other abnormalities? As you can see, they are very comfortable. Dong Xingyang sneered. Qin Feiyang lowered his head to look. Suddenly he frowned and said, Have you ever thought about why they imprisoned everyone? Dong Xingyang was stunned. He really hadn't thought about this question. How cruel was the War of the 9 States? When the people of the 2 states met, they should kill each other, leaving no one alive. Because everyone was a potential competitor. But now they only killed a portion of them and imprisoned a portion of them. Why? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, I think, either they are full of confidence, or they are waiting for someone to save Ren Wushuang and the others. You mean they used Ren Wushuang and the others as bait, and want to catch all the people of the spiritual state in one fell swoop? Dong Xingyang was bewildered. Qin Feiyang said, We can't rule out this possibility. Crack! Dong Xingyang clenched his hands tightly, his eyes bursting with killing intent. Qin Feiyang said, Let's go closer and take a look. Dong Xingyang nodded. Wait. The two were about to go down, but Wolf King suddenly spoke. What? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Wolf King looked at Dong Xingyang and asked, Are you sure nothing happened before? Dong Xingyang said, I've been guarding here the whole time, nothing happened. It was a little strange. Why did Wolf King ask this? Wolf King pointed to the neighboring mountain and said, Then why is there the smell of other people over there? Dong Xingyang immediately looked over, his eyes full of surprise. Qin Feiyang also scanned the mountain, but the vegetation was too dense, and he couldn't see anything at all. He looked at Wolf King and said, Are you sure? Of course. Wolf King rolled his eyes at him in annoyance. Could it be them? Qin Feiyang and Dong Xingyang looked at each other, immediately restrained their auras, and quietly rushed towards the mountain. Soon, they arrived at the mountain and hid behind a large rock. Looking ahead, they saw Dongfang Wuhan standing in the grass at the edge of the cliff, also looking at the group of people below. It really is him. Dong Xingyang's eyes flashed with a cold light. He looked around and sent a sound transmission. Why don't I see Morong Xiong? Qin Feiyang said. Why don't we go and ask? You still want to see him? Dong Xingyang was surprised. That's what I plan to do, Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. then walked out from behind the rock and said indifferently, "Why are you here?" Qin Feiyang. Dongfang Wuhan was shocked. When he turned his head and saw Qin Feiyang and Wolf King, his pupils immediately shrank. "I asked you a question, didn't you hear me?" Two people and one wolf walked to the opposite side of Dongfang Wuhan, looking at him with unkind eyes. Dongfang Wuhan said, "I followed your mark and found this place." Qin Feiyang sneered. Facing Mo Wuxian and the others, "Why didn't I see you so capable?" Dongfang Wuhan looked at the two people and one wolf and sighed. "It seems that you still hate me." "I don't want to hate you, but I can't." Dong Jingyang snorted. Dongfang Wuhan said, "I know at that time, I chickened out and let everyone down." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. "Sorry to interrupt, we never had any expectations for you." Dongfang Wuhan's expression stiffened, and then with a plop, he knelt in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. "What are you doing?" Two people and one wolf were bewildered. Dongfang Wuhan said regretfully, "I am already very regretful now. I hope you can forgive my foolish behavior at that time." "What's the situation?" Dong Jingyang looked at Qin Feiyang and secretly transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He also couldn't figure out what Dongfang Wuhan was doing. Dongfang Wuhan said again, "If you don't forgive me, I will kneel and not get up." Qin Feiyang pointed to Ren Wushuang and the others below, and said in a deep voice, "This matter, it's not enough for us to forgive you, it's enough for them to forgive you." "I know. So I thought of a way to rescue them," Dongfang Wuhan said. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "What way?" Dongfang Wuhan got up and said, "Earlier, Morong Xiong and I met people from the Kong province. I heard from them that they also met you. I believe you all know their strength." "They are very strong." Qin Feiyang nodded. Dongfang Wuhan said, "At that time, they wanted to kill me and Morong Xiong. Due to their strength, I could only compromise and pretend to cooperate with them." "Pretend?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, "Are you sure it's just pretending?" "I swear. Pretending to cooperate with them was just an expedient way to get away. But when I tracked them here and found that Ren Wushuang and the others were imprisoned, I thought of a perfect plan." Dongfang Wuhan said, "Tell me about it." Qin Feiyang said. Dongfang Wuhan said, "We can use the people from the Kong province to let them fight with the group below, and then we can reap the benefits." "How?" Qin Feiyang asked. Dongfang Wuhan said, "To tell you the truth, the people from the Kong province want to deal with you now." "Deal with me?" Qin Feiyang pretended to be suspicious. Dongfang Wuhan's face suddenly became strange, and he coughed. "I heard them say that you were peeping at the two women bathing in the pool." Cough cough. Qin Feiyang choked on his saliva. Chapter 583. Seeing Qin Feiyang's reaction, Dongfang Wuhan asked cautiously, "Is there really such a thing?" Qin Feiyang said lightly, "Whether there is or not, it has nothing to do with you. Just tell me your plan." "All right. My plan is, I will tell the people of the Kong state that Ren Wushuang and the others are very important to you. Knowing this, I think they will definitely find a way to capture Ren Wushuang and the others as a bargaining chip to lure you out. At that time, there will inevitably be a fierce battle with those people below." Dongfang Wuhan said. The two men and one wolf looked at each other. Needless to say, this idea was really good. On the one hand, it could preserve the strength of their side, and on the other hand, it could weaken the background of the other two states. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. Qin Feiyang said, "So you have already asked Morong Xiong to inform the people of the Kong state?" Dongfang Wuhan nodded. "Well, we will carry out your plan, but don't play tricks, otherwise you will have no way back." Qin Feiyang said, "I know. Please rest assured. This time I really want to save everyone." Dongfang Wuhan said solemnly. Qin Feiyang said, "Okay, let's go down and explore the situation first. When the people of the Kong state come, you directly instigate them to go down." "Good. You guys be careful." Dongfang Wuhan nodded. "As long as we don't fight, even if we stand in front of them, they can't touch a single hair of mine." Qin Feiyang sneered, and took Dong Jingyang and Wolf King down. Soon, the two men and one wolf came to the foot of the mountain, using the dense trees as cover, silently sneaked towards the lake. After a while, Wolf King, who was lying on Qin Feiyang's shoulder, suddenly said, "Little Qin Zi, with the people of the Kong state taking the lead, is it necessary for us to inquire about the situation?" Dong Jungyang also had a puzzled look. Of course. Firstly, both sides are very strong. Their destructive power must be terrifying. We must ensure the safety of Ren Wuxuang and the others. Secondly, I don't trust Dongfang Wuhan. I have a feeling that this matter isn't that simple. Qin Feiyang whispered. You're saying that Dongfang Wuhan has other plans? Dong Jungyang frowned. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, I also don't know. Dongfang Wuhan is more scheming and astute than Morong Xiong. It is very difficult to figure out what he is thinking. Right now, I only hope that I am thinking too much. Wolf King coldly snorted. If he really dares to scheme against us, I promise to send him to hell this time. Dong Jungyang's eyes also flashed with an astonishing cold light. A moment later, 2 people and 1 wolf lurked beside the lake, lying on top of a small hill, and looking at the lawn beside the lake. 1, 2. Qin Feiyang silently counted in his heart, and in the end, he couldn't help but frown. There were actually 36 people on the other side, and the word Yu was embroidered on their chests. It was obvious that these people were from the Yu province. Wolf King whispered, Dong Jungyang, what is their cultivation level? Dong Jungyang carefully observed for a moment, then transmitted his voice. 5-1 Star War Sect, 10-9 Star War Emperor, and 28 Star War Emperor. 5-10-20. Wolf King lowered his head and muttered to himself for a moment, then said, Isn't this only 35? What about the other one? Dong Jungyang said, There is one more that I can't see through. He should be a 2-Star War Emperor. Who? Qin Feiyang and Wolf King were bewildered. Him. Dong Jungyang pointed to a certain place by the lake, his expression solemn. A man and a wolf looked over, and saw a large round stone by the lake. A red-haired young man in white was sitting cross-legged on the stone. He was about 1.8 meters tall and had a high-nose bridge. His eyes were as dark as ink, and his thin lips were faintly curved, giving him a cold and aloof feeling. The aura emitted from his body wasn't strong, but Qin Feiyang and Wolf King could feel a trace of threat. Without a doubt, this was a sleeping lion. By the time he woke up, even this land would be trembling. Suddenly, the red-haired young man seemed to have sensed something, and turned his head to look at the place where the 2 men and the wolf were. The 2 men and the wolf immediately lowered their heads, using the dense wild grass in front of them to hide their figures. The red-haired young man glanced at the forest, a trace of doubt creeping into his eyes. Then he withdrew his gaze and looked up at the sky. At this time, it was already noon. The red-haired young man's gaze gradually became sharp, and said, If no one comes to save them before dark, kill them directly. Yes. The other 34 people looked at the red-haired young man at this moment, and respectfully replied. Immediately, the red-haired young man closed his eyes. Although he didn't say much, it was enough to let people see his character clearly. He was a decisive and swift person. Dong Jungyang's pupils shrank, and said in a deep voice, They are indeed using Ren Wuxuang and the others as bait. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the red-haired young man, and then looked at Ren Wuxuang and the others and said, Think about it. Is there any way to get close to them? They are only 100 meters away from the red-haired young man, and there are 4 people guarding them. These 4 people are also 9-star combat emperors. It won't be easy to get close to them. However, I can send them a message. Dong Jungyang whispered. Yes. Qin Feiyang angrily slapped his head. Why didn't he think of this? Dong Jungyang was a combat master. As long as it was within a certain range, he could directly transmit his voice to the other party's mind. Qin Feiyang said, Immediately send a message to Ren Wuxuang. Tell them not to be nervous. Dong Jungyang nodded. However, just as Dong Jungyang was about to send a voice transmission, Qin Feiyang reached out his hand to stop him. He shook his head and said, Let's forget about it. If they find out that we're here and reveal some flaws, it will ruin our plan. Wolf King said, Then what should we do now? Qin Feiyang said, You guys keep watch here. I will go to Dongfang Wuhan's place to take a look. Be careful, Wolf King warned. Qin Feiyang nodded, slowly retreated down the hill, and turned back. Soon, he arrived at the top of the hill again, but he did not show his face. He hid behind a bush and watched Dongfang Wuhan from afar. About half an hour passed. A group of people climbed up the mountain and walked to Dongfang Wuhan's side. It was Morong Xiong, Feng Hua and the others. Where's that pervert? Why don't I see him? The twin sisters looked at the lake below and frowned slightly. Dongfang Wuhan shook his head. Qin Feiyang hasn't found this place yet. A burly young man frowned. Then why did you call us here? It's because Qin Feiyang hasn't come that I called you here. Dongfang Wuhan smiled and pointed to Ren Wushuang and the others, saying, Do you see them? The twin sisters nodded. Dongfang Wuhan said, They are the other people of my spiritual state. These people have a very good relationship with Qin Feiyang. As long as we get them, we don't have to worry about Qin Feiyang not appearing. So it's like that. Feng Wuxia, take people down and get them. The twin sisters said. Xuening Shuero, wait. Feng Hua hurriedly stopped them, then seriously looked at the lake and shook his head. We can't go. Xuening asked. Why? They're obviously being held captive in there. And the group of people who imprison them are not weak. They should be people from other states. If we go down now, I'm afraid we'll get into trouble. Feng Hua said. What are you afraid of? No matter how strong they are, they can't be stronger than us. The twin sisters showed a look of disdain. Feng Hua said bitterly. Two great aunts, we are indeed very strong, but you have to know that there is always someone stronger. That makes sense. The twin sisters nodded, but before Feng Hua could breathe a sigh of relief, the girl called Xuening said, If that's the case, then let's all go down and beat them up. Feng Hua suddenly felt like he was suffering in silence, unable to say anything. What? With the two of us here, you still don't dare? Feng Hua, when did you become so cowardly? The twin sisters looked at him with disdain. Feng Hua said helplessly, This has nothing to do with cowardice. Before he finished, the girl called Shuerua said, Then what does it have to do with? Feng Hua was speechless for a moment, finally gritted his teeth and nodded. Okay, I'll listen to you and go. That's right. Let's go, follow us to snatch people. The twin sisters waved their hands and walked down in high spirits. Morong Xiong also instinctively followed, but he was stopped by Dongfang Wuhan, who shook his head and signaled him not to go. Seeing this, Feng Wuxia said unhappily, What are you doing? Hurry up and follow. We won't go. After all, we are from the spiritual state. If Ren Wushuang knows that we are accompanying you to snatch them instead of saving them, when we return to the spiritual state in the future, the mansion master will definitely not let us go. So, I hope that you can understand. Dongfang Wuhan cupped his hands and said with a trace of pleading between his brows. Feng Wuxia raised his eyebrows. Don't say any more. Just let them stay here. Anyway, it doesn't matter if they stay or not. That's right. The twins said without even turning their heads. Their tone was full of contempt. After the group of people disappeared from sight, Morong Xiong suddenly said angrily, How dare they say that about us? They are too much. Why are you angry? The one who can laugh in the end is the real winner. Dongfang Wuhan sneered. Morong Xiong was slightly taken aback and whispered, What are you planning? Of course, it's to provoke them to war. Now that Qin Feiyang and the others are also down there, when the people of the Kong state go down, the three sides will definitely have a bloody battle. When the time comes when both sides are injured, we will go down and annihilate them all. Dongfang Wuhan said, his eyes flashing with a terrifying light. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang, who was standing behind the bush, couldn't help but feel a chill all over his body. He guessed that Dongfang Wuhan might be planning something, but he didn't expect that Dongfang Wuhan would actually play such a big game of chess. At the same time, Morong Xiong was also shocked. After a while, he recovered and said, Aren't you afraid that the mansion master will settle accounts with us? Afraid of what? As long as we do it cleanly, who will know that we killed Ren Wushuang and the others? Dongfang Wuhan smiled confidently. Morong Xiong shook his head and said, It's too crazy. Aren't you afraid that the plan will fail? If it fails, we will be digging our own grave. Don't worry. Qin Feiyang and the others don't know my plan. If the plan fails, We will go down and help Qin Feiyang, and the others kill the people of the Kong state, and that group of people. In this way, when the time comes, Qin Feiyang and Ren Wushuang may even be grateful to us. Dongfang Wuhan chuckled. It turns out that you have a backup plan. Brilliant. Morong Xiong suddenly realized, and immediately gave Dongfang Wuhan a thumbs up. Brilliant. Qin Feiyang, who was standing behind the bush, couldn't help but purse the corners of his mouth with a trace of ridicule. Want to be the Oriole? Let's see if you have the ability. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.